Welcome back to the Six Invitational, and things are heating up with Group C. It has been surprisingly competitive and extremely fun to watch. I'm Jackie Jing, and I am with Triple J. No, not Quad J. That just sounds weird, Jesse. I'm sorry.
It's Jackie Jing, Jesse Jacob. There's 4 J's there.
Oh, I see what you're going for.
You remember that whole discussion?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, we're sticking with Triple J.
I'm cool with Triple J.
Yeah.
Mostly because Quad J only really skews it in one person's direction. It makes you better than both of us combined.
Well, then I kind of like Quad J then.
More J's is not better. It's
If
just
it
more.
makes me
No, but it's better for her because she makes up half of the J's then.
Well, and she's
That
like
sounds about right.
half the desk, right?
That sounds about right.
Half the desk?
She's host and analyst. One role, the other role.
I'm juggling it. Okay, moving on. I was going to call you Captain Jesse.
Well, this is better than Little Jesse, which was my introduction.
We haven't even made one little joke this entire
You're on a box,
broadcast,
bro.
and you're going to bring that up. Okay, let's regroup, people. We got our first matchup for Group C to talk about. Astralis and CYCLOPS battling it out. We're in survival mode now, gentlemen. How are we feeling about this one, Jacob? You excited? Ooh.
I mean, I'm excited because this is the first time we've seen either of these two teams play. Whether as Disrupt or Astralis, we haven't seen this matchup ever happen on paper. It's pretty rare to see any teams from Japan face off against North American opponents, so just having this matchup as a basis, I'm already pretty intrigued by it, because it seems like a matchup we might see at a minor, but we're seeing it at a World Championship instead, which already raises the stakes.
Yeah, we certainly are. And I mean, Astralis, they're in a bit of a pickle, right? I mean, they didn't play yesterday, so I don't think it's too bad for them. You're not really putting on the warning signs yet, but they didn't lose their first game. CYCLOPS are, of course, 1-1 at the moment, so they are maybe in a mode where they need to step things up.
Yeah, and we're going to start off with Astralis here. They're at the bottom of Group C. I don't like saying that. It makes it sound mean. But they did have a tight battle against their NA counterpart, OXG. Jesse, how do you think they're going to line up against KAG's aggressive style, though?
Well, I think they could do well in the aggressive style, right? Because I think when you look back at that Oxygen game, I think they were doing a pretty decent job at bringing it to Oxygen, at playing pretty fast and loose with them. When things got a little chaotic, they actually were coming out on top more often than not. But what worries me, Jackie, is the map pool.
Okay.
Astralis are a team that have 2 permabans, and in a format where you're only playing best of 3s, it's really difficult to do well when you constantly have to ban the same 2 maps. They haven't played Chalet since Stage 1, they haven't played Clubhouse since Stage 1. CYCLOPS, on the other hand, play all 9 maps. They'll play whatever, depending on the day, depending on their opponent. So it's going to be a big hurdle that Astralis have to get over if they want to win this game.
Counter is mostly the fact that if you're bringing a new player in, you don't want to throw all 9 maps directly at a new guy straight out of the gate.
Enough, yeah.
And I think having a more condensed pool is giving Spiff more of a chance to show what he's made of in an environment that doesn't require him to retain all that knowledge all at the same time. But the downside to that is the flexibility that Astralis are going to have. It's going to be relatively minor compared to if you had a more flexible pool. And just to reiterate, just because CYCLOPS play every single map doesn't mean they play every single map effectively to a T to win every time. So it's kind of up in the air there.
Jacob, I'm happy you're speaking about Spiff because, you know, I was a little bit worried, thought he might have the SI jitters, but he's showing up.
I thought it was fine. Yeah, for a debut. We'd probably be talking a little bit more about it if they had actually won their first game against OXG. But over the course of 3 maps, he had a good rating. He had it, like, he was good enough in his role to a point where I'm not immediately concerned at first showing against an interregional opponent. That's the only real caveat, because you want to test your mettle against plenty other people or plenty of other teams that come from different parts of the world. Give it more time. It will eventually manifest, hopefully, in what Astralis are looking for, with somebody who is very capable in an entry capacity and giving the opportunity for the other players on Astralis to flex around to where they need to be. Right now, again, I don't really have that many areas of critique for a guy like Spiff. He came into the green room yesterday to go get his makeup done for media day. Yeah. I said he did a good job, and he seems like he's relatively in the moment and he's not really shaken by nerves. So for what they've gotten out of this package to start with, there are very good things to say about Spiff.
Yeah. Okay, I would like to pivot over to CYCLOPS. Where to begin? Okay, so CYCLOPS, they beat BDS. We're all blown away by that. And then yesterday, I was kind of scared at moments. Like, I was like, what's happening with CYCLOPS? We really never know, Jesse. But you know who has been consistent? Arcali.
Arcali's been solid, yeah. I mean, one of the rookies that I think has come in and had maybe the best performances starting off for his team. Obviously, the huge win over BDS was a big one for them. We'll see if that continues again. KAG are kind of a team that have their ups and downs usually, but it's certainly possible.
I like the fact that they brought somebody in who could immediately slot for things that were happening with Gatorada, and it's not throwing them completely off their game. It might just be a case where the kind of thing that maybe we don't know because it's not nearly our region, so maybe we're not as educated on it. But having one guy come in can change the entire mood of a team for the better based on things that they were noticing with a guy coming in who was maybe bringing things down. And I'm loving that they took like BDS's game and then rode that into a matchup against Los One yesterday that they probably should have won. All it took was a couple of rounds on Theme Park going their way to maybe not even worry about the overtime in the first place. And then those last two games are a slide in one direction and a slide in another. So it really came down to how effective their Theme Park was, which against a team like Astralis might actually be a pretty decent play. You have options here, but I think as far as Cyclops are concerned, both of the guys that have rookies are doing good things for their teams right now.
Okay, Jacob, I did want to talk to you a little bit more about op choices when it comes to Cyclops. We've been talking a lot about their unpredictable play style, but we're going to zone in on that. So break it down for me.
There's a very interesting thing that Cyclops have done so far at this tournament. They love Glass Ying, and they love being able to use it at very inopportune moments for their opponents. It's one thing to bring a Glass, it's another to have one player bring it every single attacking round for a whole map. That's what they were doing last night. And to incorporate that with a lot of shields, both Monty and Blitz with a whole bunch of Osa play. We're factoring Osa in on this graphic as well. It means that the options for Cyclops to actually win attacking rounds are far more numerous. And there's also a big caveat to this for Astralis. They are only above Team Liquid in defenses for the entire tournament, and Team Liquid should have gotten more defensive wins today, which means based on just one best of 3, Astralis are the worst performing defensive team of anyone at this tournament. So what do you do against Cyclops? Do you continue to ban the Monty that you know is super effective against Cyclops because Anatin is already associated himself as a Monty god?
Yeah.
Do you ban the Glass, but then subsequently have to worry about a Warden play? What are you going to do in this scenario?
It's tough. I mean, Cyclops have played 26 attackers coming into today out of 34 total in the game. That is the most of any team. There's just 6 ops. Sorry, there's just 8 ops there that they haven't been able to play so far. We might see that number go up. I think Astralis have a pretty deep operator pool as well, to be fair to them. I believe it's 23 ops so far on their record on the attacking side. Be clear about that. So they're still flexible, but it's certainly what Cyclops are known for. I don't think it's a huge shock they're playing a lot of different operators here at this tournament, but it is a problem that every team's going to have to deal with when they go up against them.
It feels like you have to ban one thing or the other. You don't have that many options for bans in the first place. So I think it really more comes down to the battleground that you go to as opposed to exactly what ops are played or not played. So it really comes down to the ban phase for me to see who's going to win this thing.
Okay, well, we'll be getting to that momentarily. But, okay, so y'all are both a bit younger than me, and you're always teaching me cool new words.
Wait, how much younger are we than you? We're both 23.
Okay.
We'll have to do that to her, Jacob.
We're going to do that
No, I just wanted
camera?
to ask. Yeah, on camera.
Man, I think I'm almost 15 years older than y'all.
How old are you right now?
I'm 35. Let's just really...
That's 12. That's not 15. That's 12. That's 12 years
Thank you. Thank you, Jacob, for clarifying
You're welcome.
the number. That makes me feel better. But not really.
Jackie, where's this going?
I don't know.
What's the point, Jackie?
Okay, what's the point? Okay, so yeah, you guys are always teaching me cool new words. And Jesse, when we were in the green room, you said you had something to help me extend my vernacular, my vocab. So
Yes. Jackie, there's a new term on the block called cagging. This is a term.
Silly.
This is a verb. It was invented kind of in the early 21st century.
Oh my goodness.
Integrated into English by a very misunderstood and primitive society known as
What are
the
you
Twitch
talking about?
chatters. It's a term that refers to an individual or a team who does the wrong thing but arrives at the desired outcome. As an example, you somehow managed to use the wrong formula, but you cagged the right answer. It's a term that has been populating the Twitch chat throughout the last couple of days. It started when Cyclops beat BDS, played their unorthodox style, and still arrived at the win. And it's something that the community has started to grasp onto,
So
Jackie.
you're both cagging.
Wait, what?
All right.
Oh, wait.
Let's get turnaround. I'll give you that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, let's be honest. Both of you are a little wild, but you do a good job in the end. I thought that was a compliment. then? Did I use it incorrectly?
No, Jackie, you're right on the money. That's exactly what it means.
Not cool or hip at all, no matter how hard I try. But okay, I am really excited about this matchup, and we're taking a live look at the play area right now. Our teams are gearing up, getting ready. We're working to get that map info up on your screen, and both of you are talking about your concerns when it comes to bans.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, those are the two permabans that we're expecting to see from Astralis, and one after another. Chalet right into Clubhouse. So that's going to be very predictable from CYCLOPS. As long as they knew those were off the board, they can pick whatever map they want. They end up choosing Bank, and that's a rough one for Astralis. 3-game losing streak, including a 7-2 loss to SSG in Stage 3 and a 7-3 loss to Oxygen here in Montreal on the first play day. You know, maybe a 7-4 this time, but it still seems like it'll be a tough one for Astralis to win. The first map, though, right before that, of course, Theme Park, chosen by Astralis themselves. And it's a map that CAG haven't won in a while, too. They haven't won it since Stage 1. They've lost it plenty of times since, including just yesterday at SI, 8-7 to loss 1. So, yeah, it feels like we might trade those map picks, and then that decider may be where it's figured out.
I think in a moment like this, you also have to consider more of the way that the CYCLOPS play on attack. Theme Park is way, way wide open for long angles if you decide that you want to leave the glass up in the first place. So consider the things that Astralis need to do to stop CAG. You either take the shield play out, which definitely can play a factor on Theme depending on the site, or you take the long angles away and ensure that Glaz and other sniper characters aren't the problem. You really don't have that many options. You have to pick one or the other, and I think this first map is going to set the pace for what the rest of it's going to look like. And it also could differ on a map-to-map basis. You could ban shields on one map, you could ban Glaz in the other. You could also find a way to take their Amaru play from one another, but I really wonder what they're saying in this huddle right now.
Aww.
Ban Glaz! Ban Glaz!
They've been saying one thing over and over and over again. This is a team with a motto. Clock is cheap.
Yep.
That's what they've been saying. They said it to me when I talked to them at breakfast. They said it in their interviews. They said it to me when I passed them in the hallway. Talk is cheap, talk is cheap, talk is cheap. And so hopefully they're going to put in some action, right? When we get through these map bans, it will be kind of interesting when we get to Border as well. That's a map that Astralis beat M80 on back in Stage 3, and they beat Oxygen at SI. They were close games, both of them, but you know, once we get to that final map, I could see Astralis turning this around and being able to take that final map against CYCLOPS. I think it's going to be really tough for them to close it out in 2, which is obviously what you need if you want to get that full 4 points.
Yep.
Iconic all smiles. What do you think both of these teams' mindsets are right now? How do you think they're feeling going into this?
I think Astralis are happy to have gotten yesterday off. I think after having a loss, you get your debut game out of the way, you might as well see what it takes after a bye and then play 3 straight. So having a bye after just 1 game, I think, is a great mentality reset. As far as CYCLOPS is concerned, they were riding that high against BDS's win, and then going into loss 1 from yesterday, not going the way that you were hoping. I actually think their mentality is high going to Theme Park first, because they probably should have beat loss 1 on that map from last night. So honestly, I think both of them should be in pretty decent spirits right now.
I'll remind you of the Charlotte Major, Jacob, where CYCLOPS won their first game in groups and then lost every other game and finished dead last.
Ouch.
So maybe there's some flashbacks of that for CYCLOPS. Too early to call it for sure, but I think they might be a little bit nervous that history may repeat itself.
Okay, gentlemen. Well, let's get this Group C showdown going. We got Blue and Stokes CAG. I almost just said cagging instead of casting.
It's working.
That
it's
is
working.
Your fault. Take it away, gentlemen. Jesse, look what you did to me. You're in trouble. Oh yeah, Stream B pre-show for BDS versus Los 1. Don't go anywhere.
Thank you very much, Jackie, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to one of our final matches of the day here. Getting ready to jump into this one. Bound to be an interesting matchup as we have Astralis going up against CAG. Not entirely sure which way this one's going to go, ultimately. Do you have any thoughts on that one?
I had some thoughts, but that piano intro, I was a little lost in it for a second there. I thought you were about to start spitting some bars at me or something. I didn't know what was going on. So a little cypher action here for you in the afternoon, John. But yeah, I think there's a lot on the docket for both of these teams. Astralis is here to prove something. They did not end up winning their first matchup against Oxygen, lost that one in 2-1 fashion. Whereas CYCLOPS, I mean, they have their heads held pretty high and using an unorthodox method in order to achieve these results. Cagging, as we'd recently learned, apparently Webster's Dictionary will be picking that one up. So Jesse will finally get a word in that, so that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool indeed. We're going to have to wait and see, though, how these teams perform. CAG has had 2 very different games so far inside of this tournament here. Just when you consider the fact that, of course, they dropped the game yesterday versus Lost +1 but still ended up winning versus the previous major champions in BDS, of course, able to take them down. In consideration of that, it's hard to play CAG right now in terms of how they're going to perform against Astralis, because they also played it to the full metal against OXG in their opening matchup of the tournament. Took it to a full 3 maps and only lost it at the bitter end of that one, going pretty deep into the map itself. So we have to wait and see how they're going to be looking to rebound. Checking out the stats from that game specifically against OXG, with some key players that weren't necessarily performing up to their fullest potential. I think we could see more out of some guys like Forrest in this matchup here today, and we're not going to have to wait long to see if that'll be the case, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go live with our first map of the series. It's Theme Park between our two teams here, Astralis and CYCLOPS.
CYCLOPS looking fantastic, the raid boss here for the group when it comes to this unorthodox playstyle. Whereas for Astralis, a lot of stars looking to not burn out here at the Six Invitational. A fantastic 2022 under their belt that saw them as the runners-up in Charlotte, looking to try and make a tournament run here, and it starts on day 3. What can Astralis possibly get done? It starts here in the band phase on Theme Park, and a pretty interesting map working its way through the mix as well, going to allow CYCLOPS to really use that style of play against Astralis. This is one of those maps where it's a pretty open book as to how you want to go about things. Just really need to make sure you have the utility to accomplish certain tasks around the building. Past that, again, open book. So really excited to see how CYCLOPS wants to try and go through all of this. Looks like we already got some conversation going back and forth between these two, probably outside of the lobby, probably just some vocalization across the two.
Was it talk is cheap or something like that?
Yeah, maybe that's just all Astralis was yelling inside of that huddle right there.
They're using all their text message credits for that.
Oh my. Well, we're going to have the majority of the bands done, and we're going to seal it up with CYCLOPS having a pretty unique one.
All right, we'll get into it in just a second here as we go live with the first round between these two teams. Astralis starts out on the attack, of course. They'll be cautious with their approach to the building, as like Stokes had mentioned, CYCLOPS has been bringing a bit of an unorthodox style so far to the table. Not necessarily expecting to see that in the very first round, though.
That's not Astralis and CYCLOPS.
Yeah, I'm assuming they'll fix that in a moment, so we'll let them do that. But Bunk and Daycare is going to be the initial site choice here for CYCLOPS, has led upstairs instead of to the usual first site over in Throne, kind of safe harbor for a lot of our teams.
Yes, indeed. And Eminem ended up winning their game earlier today, didn't they? Do you believe? I think so.
I think so as well, yeah.
Might be a spoiler for some of you that wanted to watch that, so apologies. But hey, whatever.
Even though we already said it.
I mean, to be honest, I don't really care that much. So it's like, I mean, hey, you chose to watch the stream. That's not on me. So either way, though, getting into this one, CYCLOPS going to be starting things off on defense, and it's going to be Bunk Daycare here to start us off. Astralis already messing with their operator lineup just a tad bit, so they're going to throw in a little Flores and a sprinkle of Zofia. No, how do you do with the Jackal, though, so won't have the roam clearance that they once had, but just going to have to stick this up to the drone game. Really, actually kind of caught off guard at the fact that they don't have a Doke or something like a Lion inside of this mix as well, so it's going to force Astralis onto a slow opener here. Got to get an info game going, know where these CAG players are.
And it's it. Seeing if anything will present itself. Has the full 10 seconds. We can do this all day long here. There'll be no penalty for this little run out he does for himself. Doesn't look like he'll be getting a whole lot of intel from it, though, except for potentially the spot on Forrest and one more player here in a second. If they are able to spot it coming back out, of course, they can deny that intel, but once again, nothing useful gleamed as of yet. Here we go, though. Now we can see it swinging back out a little bit further. Able to get that confirmation that there is going to be some repelled action, specifically against Anderson's current position as well, so that does prompt him to get ready for a rotation, potentially in the next few seconds here. It does go back in and is able to deny that first Selma toss. That's a third of the attacker's hard breach utility now gone. No secondary can openers brought for Astralis either, so that is it. As soon as all 3 of those Selmas are eliminated, they'll have nothing to fall back on.
Well, Astralis are going to attempt to start working the other portion of the map. We saw them starting to build up for this cache side offense. I do believe, although, that Forrest will more than likely be looking to go in via Gong on the base floor. We're going to have a couple of roamers around, but they're going to be on this top level near Dragon. Spiff going to go searching. BJ, I know that gets tagged up, though, although Iagator will be the one to actually land the shot. Spiff down, and also a CYCLOPS getting away with it as well. Had the chance for the refrag, but the cross doesn't work out.
Smith going down, but at the same time, Forrest there for the revenge on the Nook. Waiting arms here at the bottom of the yellow stairs, immediately grabs our Cully and evens us back out into a 4v4. Primed for another kill as well. Has the intel on another player deeper inside of Gong, and he will oblige with the peek, but Forrest sprays just a tad too soon. Alligator not fully committed to the angle as of yet, so he has confirmation of his opponent around the corner as well, as he needs to get prepared for another push in through Gong. Wrong intel is apparently out for the Astralis team. They thought Alligator was across the room or going down the hallway towards electrical, and as a result of that, another member is lost. Thankfully, again, Astralis still able to keep up pace.
Oh, no.
But the EDDs from Alligator are going to deny the rush attempt from Shuttle to get into the site here. Astralis constantly one step behind in this round, it seems here. One player behind as well, as once more they'll have to try and make up the deficit with another trade here. J90 goes for the attempt, nearly loses his life in the process. Another opportunity will present itself, multiple in fact, but the angles, the stars just can't align here as he tries to go for the peak. It's far too well under the control of CAG, and they will shut it down to get the first round under their belt.
Fantastic patience from CAG there, but nothing doing for Astralis. Every well they go to completely dried up. CYCLOPS giving them the business every step of the way. This play right here, seemingly the moment for Astralis as well. Shuttle trying to make that aggressive play inside of the actual site, and the only thing in his way happens to be a cap can trap that removes him at the ankles. One round there for CYCLOPS, and very well done at slowing down Astralis, especially towards the outside of the building.
So we are going to see Astralis try to make up for the difference here on round number 2. Unfortunately, things are going to get even more difficult in terms of the site selection here. CYCLOPS going into one where the defenders have a bit more of an inherent advantage just due to the geometry of the site itself. See some small operator changes. The Echo's still staying in play for Anaton, of course. It was incredibly useful for their early Roman capability to spot out some of the early utility clear that Astralis wanted to go for, such as that Selma, which was directly countered out. We didn't really see Astralis try to push that angle throughout the rest of the round. Some more additions being added into it, though. Blackbear giving himself a nice little comfort pick there on the alibi. Alligator adding the Solus into the fold here as well. So expect quite a bit of Roman presence across the map here inside of the first minute or two as they try to bait out the time from Astralis' clear.
I really love how they've built upon this as well. You've seen how Anaton has been constantly able to use those yokai drones so efficiently inside that first round. See what he can accomplish on the second one. Love what we saw from him using those drone holes over towards the drug side and kind of the arcade lobby side, getting those outside, see what was going on for the repels. Just such a smart way to play with these yokai drones. I'm actually so very impressed with how many of these have been slipping through the cracks, granted that they're not invisible anymore. Usually just bold-faced on the ceiling and still people just not seeing them. Saw that quite a few times, especially with Deepak's play over the last couple of days.
See if they're going to be able to continue that prowess here now. What's going to be their third match. Astralis is on match number 2 here, I believe,
yes,
for
indeed,
the tournament so far, as they had a bye day yesterday, if memory serves me correctly. Just keep that in mind, folks. There is going to be a little bit of an uneven match score for some of these teams, looking at the overall group stage scores anyway, when you consider the fact that some have still yet to have their bye day, and others, of course, have already had theirs. That's creating a little bit of an uneven scored situation. Alligator ready to potentially challenge this breach opening. A little late to the party on actually killing it, but he can deny the thermite charge itself. At least gets that. But unfortunately, will lose his life. R. Kelly, though, right on point, is able to find Spiff elsewhere on the map, denies the entry player. However, Astralis is going full throttle through the breach here, and it just does not pan out. Immediately, the trades are there for CAG. They bring Astralis down to just 2 players here, as it's up to Iconic and J90 to clutch it out with the positioning they have near the site now.
There's only one on Furnace. If J90 can try and solve this puzzle inside of barrels, potentially one more as well to him, he gets a flick back. This is totally doable, John. They know exactly where this player is at the back. Iconic cannot lose this. He has case control here. J90 inside of his own, just doing a 1v1 as well, but he's going to rotate off. He wants to help Iconic with this position. If he can get that oversight here, potential for plant. Blackray moving in through split. J90 he's going to get tagged up. An easy kill here for Blackray. No one accounting for the split angle. Way too focused on that player over at Furnace, and it's punishing J90. Can he get it done? So much time remaining. I heard the audio of the reload there inside of barrels. Has the one, but Suzuki from downrange. My God. The SMG 11 shot heard around the world. Only 4 shots necessary. And Astralis goes down yet again.
CYCLOPS hold back the tide of the cracking dam here. We see Hanneton try to go for that early aggressive play. Rather, Iagate try to go for it, and unfortunately is fended off. At least denies the first attempt at the opening, but Astralis pressed that issue. Try to go deeper into the site anyway, thinking that they can surprise CYCLOPS with the immediate follow-up. CYCLOPS more than ready for that challenge, however, as they hold the line on the inside of their site. And while, of course, they don't keep the whole thing, they at least hold a little bit of a line that's strong enough to stop Astralis from putting their case down on the ground and eventually clutching it out from the 2v2 perspective. Nicely played by CYCLOPS to keep their mettle about them. And now with a lead established at 2-0, we'll see just how far they can grow this before Astralis finally gets onto the board.
Yeah, CYCLOPS staying very active in that round and proves to be the biggest issue for Astralis there, especially with BlackRay getting away with so very much inside of that split hallway. You'd have thought that the adjustment from J90 there would have led him to try and cover that, but he was more worried about somebody potentially pushing through the smoke from Armory over to the throne side, and that just left Split wide open for anybody to try and abuse. Iconic immediately eviscerated. Now an easy 2 rounds there for CYCLOPS. Astralis still not able to recruit just yet. We'll see if it takes a full site rotation in order to do so.
Iagator prep with a potential hop out there too. More likely not going to see anything come from it though, just considering the situation that sits before him, unless he finds a very apt piece of intel that prompts him to go for the hop out there. It's more likely not going to build up to too much from that. And it's still on that defensive drone game here. By using out those Echo drones to their fullest extent, zooming all around the map with them, trying to see where the first entries are going to come from. Hopefully giving out those comms to allow CYCLOPS to rotate directly into them and fend them off before they become too much of an issue. BlackRay, I think the first bit of a challenge over here on the break room rappel. Iagator, like we said before, is still nearby. So playing on the inside of the electrical storage. He will have to rotate out momentarily, but we've already seen him roaming quite heavily around this area, all the way down onto the inside of Throne as well. Phone calls have started to come in also. That has prompted a relocation of BlackRay a little bit deeper away from that repelled window. Would have exposed him too much. That also means we're going to see at least one piece of hard breach go out to allow Astralis to start working their way through from that break room hop-in.
Also notice this, we talked about it in the very first round. Astralis was not using any info utility. They've now picked up the Dokkaebi. This is something I thought they'd be using very early on, just given the circumstances of CYCLOPS, but at least they've done it now.
Hanneton once again going for a little scout out towards Cafe, where he confirms that there's no pressure there for the moment, so they know they don't have to keep a massive watch over in that area. Second phone call has now come in. Hanneton holds the line initially, but J90 able to trade out elsewhere on the map as he finds Suzu. Brings us back down into a 4v4. A common trait so far, but every single time we've played this out, CYCLOPS has ended up the winner. What does Astralis do differently now to change up their fate? Once again, sitting at the precipice of site control. BlackRay sees a moment, potentially catches another player mid-reload, but once again, Astralis right on the tail of those trades. Spiff took another fight versus Iagator and won it, and is able to put up another one as well, finding BlackRay deeper into the depths of the site. Hanneton and Arcully are all that's left here for CYCLOPS to clutch it out in the 2v3.
Dead quiet across the field now. No one wanted to be the error maker. A lot of questions still up for Astralis. Are they in sight? Are they playing back? Are they holding angles? Not a lot of communication in order to play this one out. Not a lot of cams, but it doesn't seem like they'll need it. Spiff's going to go down to, I believe, one of the EDDs on a door. That's going to be case control going their way. Gonna have to pick him back up and get that case. This is going to allow Arcully to rotate around, but the cutoff, oh, he knows he's inside of security. Iconic so very low. They need a nice shot, and they'll get it. Arcully gonna take some damage, though, from the likes of, I believe, J90. He's holding that angle there for security. They need to get this plant down. Looks like the plant's going to start going down inside of office. Have the ability to try and stop this if you can find the angle, but it's just behind the bomb chassis. A little bit too difficult there. He's going to start skimpering off over to the right-hand side. Quiet here. Arcully. Potential for one to be vault. He knows he had to rotate off of that position, but he doesn't know where Spiff could potentially be. There's so many different angles for him to play. Rock in a hard place, and finally J90 will figure it out. You got to feel for him there.
Kind of lost the plot, unfortunately, by the time he actually was able to approach the site. Just had no idea where the final two players were positioned at. Takes a guess, ends up being wrong about it, and ends up going down. The first loss on the board there is Astralis able to keep the defensive roster split up enough to trade their way towards a win here, despite the aggressive stance that CYCLOPS constantly was throwing out against Astralis here. Unfortunately, that comes back to bite them as they're just not able to support each other well enough off of those trades. Astralis ends up with better positioning. When it comes down to the 2v1, they work that into a plant, which, as we just saw, unfortunately is unwinnable, but the player on CAG trying to clutch it.
Absolutely. Big game changer there for Astralis. Love the Dokkaebi pickup, and especially what Spiff was able to do with it, obviously. A big round there for them, and specifically him, as he was able to get 2 kills that were a necessity to picking up that round. Astralis also finally able to find CYCLOPS and get an advantage off these ISO players that they discovered over in Bunk/Daycare and translate that into a plant, which they haven't been able to do just yet. They've been really, really worse for wear when it comes to the numbers up against CYCLOPS, so finally getting a round under the belt, definitely going to be something that feels quite good. So let's see if they can continue on this reign here for round 4, maybe connect some more dots and tie us up.
Spawns are out, Astralis are on the field. No huge surprises when it comes to the operators that they have chosen to go into. CYCLOPS is going to bring Alligator with a Mira this time around as well to try to get some more hardpoint angles that they can use to harass against these more direct pushes from Astralis. Important to note, as our observer just showed us, Blackray also bringing the Frost into the fold here too. We've had a lot of these kind of like tepid pushes from Astralis where they manage to very quickly reach a breach point, but then don't really take it much further than that. Kind of stutter step their way through into the site past that point. It's that slower part of the round where they could potentially make those mistakes and end up walking into a Frost mat if they're not paying attention to everything on the floor there. So CYCLOPS is going to be gambling on that paying off, and to be fair, it generally has worked so far this tournament, so it's not a bad bet at all, especially considering that we're here on Theme Park, and we have quite a bit of history for Frost working there. But Blackray, a confident swing to try and just check for intel, doesn't realize that a member of Astralis was way far back there, already scoped in on the window, immediately shuts down Blackray, and he is none the wiser to it, so he'll go down without a single bullet traded out in the process.
Big stuff for Astralis once again. So those bodies, they mean so very much to how the remaining rounds play out, especially for Rainbow Six. I mean, obviously First Blood means a lot in a ton of titles, but for Siege, I mean, it matters that much more. The utility off the board, another player that could potentially influence the round, and I mean, past that, the win percentage with Opening Blood is just absolutely crazy when it comes down to it. So, looks like Astralis to take their time here now that they know that this is not going to be the biggest issue. That Mute Jammer working wonders right now when it comes to this deployable shield. Very well done though from Forrest as he sneaks up Arcade. He'll take down one, but J9 immediate to the trigger as he'll take down Aniton. That's all left up to Alligator. He can't hit the flick iconic immediately on top of him. Astralis not letting there be any room to breathe. They will quickly dispatch CYCLOPS, who is immediately going to call a timeout.
Much more definitive round that time coming in as well for the players on Astralis, just with the way they are able to negotiate it. Quiet down for a second here, see what's going on in the attack break.
You know, I got past with the issue on the side.
Attack break's going to come to a close here in about 3 seconds. We'll get back into the game now. See a lot of communication going on there, specifically from the CYCLOPS side, as they're the ones that call for the pause here. Things just not going well over these past 2 rounds. Specifically, back on round number 4, where Astralis were more than ready to throw everything they had at CYCLOPS. That's the success they were looking for on rounds like round 1 and round 2, and they were trying to force the issue into areas like Throne Room, but unfortunately got met with CYCLOPS' setup that was more than ready for the challenge. This time, they're out of position, not ready to potentially swing out against that, and as a result, Astralis finds much greater success and much greater positioning far earlier on in the round than CYCLOPS was ready for.
Yes, indeed. We'll see what CYCLOPS' adjustments are, because I don't know about you, but I don't speak Japanese, so a little difficult to know exactly what their overarching strategy was for that tactical timeout, but probably went something along the lines of, hey, we should really beat Astralis, and I agree.
Very, very true. So, once again, Will.
I think all I know for Japanese is arigato gozaimasu. That's it.
Just
I probably said that wrong still.
Just hello.
I don't think it is.
Or is it thank you?
I think it's thank you for this meal or something like that. Yeah. Yeah. We'll have to ask Hassan, he'll know.
We're just making fools of ourselves.
Yeah.
So let's get back to the game.
That's esports in general, baby. Let's go. That's what we're here for. We're here for the entertainment factor. And so is Aniton, apparently, as he is on this cash door.
Got this pixel run out right now. Just a single little step away from triggering the warning. He's waiting to see if he's going to get repels. He does get one. He can make a run for it. Here we go. Knows he's got one below. Here's the hop out on the cams as well, but the angle's awkward. Still makes it work. You got to remember, folks, when you go for those types of swing downs there, you can't aim directly down in Siege, at least not to like a full 180-degree angle below you. You've got to have it on a slight arc. So it was a little awkward there as he couldn't get the angle on Spiff initially, but makes it work, thankfully. Spiff just does not have enough time to adjust for that.
No, the hilarious part about that was Spiff trying to figure out where he was outside. Hey, he's right above you, buddy. He is right above you.
It's like Goomba stomp you.
Oh my goodness. So Astralis going to be down a player after CYCLOPS choose to go very aggressive. And Astralis yet again struggling with clearing out the building. CYCLOPS going to get 2 big picks off of this now. One from a very aggressive run out. One simply by Arcoli sitting inside of Drug and waiting on Astralis' arrival.
This is the big issue right now, for me at least, with Astralis' playstyle and the way they've been operating over the past 4 rounds, is if they tend to lose a player or even 2 here like we have currently in the early round, the rest of their strategy just really does not work, as they love to brute force these situations, brute force for map control as well, and they really need that excess player count in order to make that work. Being down now 3 because Black Ray just scored another kill as well, they really can't justify going for those types of pushes. They're going to be way too far exposed, and it's overall just way too risky of a play, in my opinion. So what do they fall back on here? Not much, realistically, in my opinion, at least for this round. Now that's been brought down to a 2v5 and a 1v5 as Black Ray sneaks in another one here from the top of yellow. I believe that's the case going down as well.
Iconic might get one. No, won't be able to deliver on that.
At least doesn't waste any time. You know,
that's true. Hey, shout out to him. I mean, he was like, yeah, it's a 1 versus 5. I'm just going to take a gun.
He's like, I'm not winning this. Let's just get on to the next one, boys. Like,
yeah, definitely agree with that one. Just a sad round overall. Astralis, especially for the clearance past what we saw from the Solus run out there, you'd expect more, especially with the Dokkaebi in play, for them trying to clear out the building. Because Arcoli literally got that kill from inside of storage. Like, there's not amazing angles out of that portion of the map. You can look in the bathroom and lab unless you make other angles, but then obviously Astralis would more than likely see that through the soft destruction while they're droning the map. So a little awkward there for Astralis, and it's led CYCLOPS to a 1-round lead here after their tactical timeout.
so with CYCLOPS ahead, this final round will decide if they can keep it that way or if Astralis comes back with a little bit more of that aggressive firepower to equalize things at a 3-3 scoreline. Switching sides along with it here. A few repicks coming in for Astralis as well, mainly to try and suss out the more aggressive players on CYCLOPS. Their roam game, it would seem, here as well. Both the Jackal and the Dokkaebi coming back into it. No Lion to be seen, of course, which has generally been the more prompt pick to try and fulfill this same goal, but they feel that the Jackal is going to be a more direct counter to some of the roam game from the CYCLOPS, and I would generally agree with that. No surprise as far as CYCLOPS are concerned. It's a lot of the same we've already been seeing for the past 5 rounds here. The Echo no longer in play, of course, for now, but they're focused on a site hold, I think this time over in Lab, so they've been able to ditch that. I think they're pretty confident with the intel they're able to gather just on their own and off the default cam, so they don't necessarily need the benefit of the Echo anymore.
Well, they are going to be bringing in the Jackal for Astralis. That roam game, obviously. CYCLOPS and the rest of the gang awaiting Astralis here. Maybe the top floor first, and J9O, hot commodity, but dead and cold now. Xanatin will take him down. Heard the 417 shots, don't exactly know where that gunfight went down at, but it's successful for the defense nevertheless. CAG doing a great job of bullying Astralis yet again. Ever since that tag timeout, Astralis has not been able to get a single sliver of control, whether it be utility or map focused. It doesn't matter. It's been all CYCLOPS. Looks like Black Ray might get another one here yet again, but fortunately enough, Shuttle will skimper on by. Forrest will get outside with the CZ in hand, and so will Shuttle. I believe they ended up getting that breach open, and looks like they still might have an opportunity here to take this round.
Iconic and Forrest now trying to group up to re-entry, either on Cafe side or somewhere else. Looks like they may actually try to line themselves up for hatch play, as they're trying to just navigate across the building here to get closer to the rest of their teammates. We'll find out in just a moment. We still have half the round to be played out as well. It's really just the opening action, what we saw there a few moments prior, to get us back to an even field at 4 versus 4. Spiff here starting to line up just on the outside of that lab bathroom. Actually trying to see if anyone from CYCLOPS would have challenged him on the barricade opening, but obviously not the case, as we can see from the silhouettes. Shuttle, in the meanwhile, has made the re-entry on Lower Dragon and is going to try to push directly towards it. Thankfully, just a single EDD on that door right there, so it doesn't take him down outright, and he's more than ready for the challenge against Arcoli, even with his ear still ringing from that EDD. Knocks one down, puts his team on the right foot forward here with a +1 advantage now. But at the same time, under a minute to go here. The rest of the team still grouping up for the transition over to the actual site. So we'll have to see if they can make that happen, as there's room for a lot of cutoffs to happen here in the favor of CYCLOPS if Astralis doesn't properly drone this out.
Such low HP here for Astralis. Anaton might be able to get away with a lot, and he almost does. Spiff will get it the second time around. At least keep this palatable for Astralis. Up in man advantage, but lower on the HP side of things, and that's where things will get a little bit risky, especially with this time included. Oh no! That's why right there, the Frost Mats eat him up, and Suzuki gets away with so much. It's down to Spiff, John. He's got to work in via the lab. Gonna get the EE1D, or rather the EDD, but either way you slice that, it really doesn't matter. He's got to dance back and forth with both the angles on both sides of this site. Suzuki will nip it in the bud, and it's going to be a 4-2 defensive half for them.
Frost Mats continue to be worth their weight, not even in gold, like platinum or something. I don't know if that's
uranium,
more expensive.
Like, uranium's pretty expensive.
Unobtainium, I guess, in this case here.
Is that a thing?
I mean, you've seen Avatar, haven't you?
Oh yeah, I didn't even.
Yeah.
I was like so out of it watching that movie, man.
Rarest mineral in the universe, or something like that. I don't know.
All I knew was that there was blue people, and apparently they made blue people-sized Oakleys. That was it. That's all I got out of that movie. Oh, there was water involved. Remember the aqua?
The blue people Oakleys. Oh, got me.
Ha ha ha. Classic comedy.
So CYCLOPS able to make things work for themselves off of the backs of that great utility play. Once again, the Frostbite's constantly tripping up our rushed attackers as they try to fight for map control in the dying seconds of the round. Another victim is claimed, and this time it's Astralis. We'll have to see if they can make things a little bit better for themselves on the defensive side. Certainly not out of this map just yet. 2-4 is absolutely workable in my opinion, especially if they get off to the right foot running here with the first round going under their control.
Yes, indeed. CYCLOPS were flirting with the glass there for just a second, and that's something that they actually routinely run. I do believe it's Anaton's primary operator right now on the offensive side, which is not something to shake a stick at. We don't ever see that, so pretty interesting thing. CYCLOPS, though, out and about for their very first time on the offensive side. And just as a reminder for y'all, this is indeed Astralis' map pick. So depending on how this side goes, it could be pretty murky waters ahead for them moving into map 2.
As you can see there on the top right, our second map. Looks like it's going to be Bank by the looks of things here. So get prepared to rotate onto that at some point in the next 20 minutes or so here, folks, as we could potentially be deciding the series. Early on here, CYCLOPS is able to carry forward their momentum throughout not only the rest of this map, but the second one as well, but that's a long time in the future. So let's see how Astralis is going to look to battle this one back. Shuttle at least getting a little bit of intel as to the drone clear coming through. Iconic will have gotten that call out from his teammate and be aware of that, but he is being hyper-droned here. A second one now roaming over towards him by the arcade staircase, so the possibility that he could be targeted out here over the next few seconds. And you can see Anaton priming up for the lean outside of Cafe into that arcade area. Thankfully, Astralis has at least one more player that can support this. Anaton, somewhat aware of that, but look at how sneaky he's being right now. Nicely done. Had to work his way past the angles of 2, maybe 3 different players here to finally sneak off that kill against Iconic. Jade, I know, able to find a trade against Anaton, though. Obviously, couldn't really get that much further than that due to the sneaky nature with which he had to find the first kill. The rest of Astralis tearing apart this attack aside from that. Kelly gets one, but it's immediately traded by Shuttle, leaving everything on to Suzuki now inside of what should be a 1v2. Potentially going to be a 1v3 in a second if they do go for that res on a forest.
I'm going to get him up. Suzuki does have to try and cross this Banshee, though, so he might try a different avenue here if he doesn't want to destroy that. He will instead, so they've got some solid audio on that, especially since it's directly above the site, so they'll know that he is playing on the top floor as of right now. A minute to kill here for Suzuki, and Forrest on quite low HP, so it is somewhat doable if Astralis really wants to mess things up. I'm just being honest with you. They got to mess up across here.
Speaking of messing up. Thankfully, those summons don't activate unless they actually go onto a wall,
Indeed.
so he does get a second chance.
Or something that can destroy it. Does stop breach, as well as like you can toss on a deployable shield and stuff like that. I just always giggle at those things because sometimes the hitboxes for things just simply don't work out. Like you'll swear a grenade's about to make it past a window and you'll bounce that thing
like
right back
in
in
your
your
face.
face.
Like 2 pixels beyond the texture.
Exactly.
Like that. So it's like, oh, well, that's not right.
You got some fat window frames and door frames in this game. You really do. Those things are thick, man. I wish I had those things on my apartment. That place would be so well made.
And you wouldn't have any doors, though, would be the problem.
Yeah, that's the key thing.
If your apartment was in the...
I'd have to re-barricade my main door every single time I entered my apartment. My fiance would hate when I came home, just busting down a wooden door every single time. Suzuki continues to flirt with this, by the way, guys. It's not like we're not paying attention. It's just the fact that we knew that this was going to happen, which is fish out of water, really, for Suzuki, and Astralis shoring up the scoreline.
He was walking into a death cross no matter which way he tried to swing it there, so the ultimate outcome of that round is reached regardless of the actions from the final player alive on CYCLOPS. As a result of that, CYCLOPS in the hot seat yet again here, even though they are still in the lead. It's only by that singular round now. As Astralis starts things out well on their own defensive side, they'll go for an immediate rotate upstairs into bunks for their second hold here. And we'll see a little bit of a different take initially on this from CYCLOPS. The Glaz is showing again, but as I've made a point a few times now, the Glaz just, in my opinion, usually doesn't really work. It's more of like the fear of it more than anything that changes up how your opponents play. For me, I haven't seen this pick generally be all that successful, but we'll wait and see if CYCLOPS decides to stick with this one or if they're going to end up re-picking it, as we've often seen from these initial selections.
We'll double check this as I say it, but I'm 99% positive that they are the only one that has a primary Glaz player right now.
Yeah, I was about to say, it looks like they're sticking with it from the way that they're kind of setting themselves up right.
Yeah, and it is Anaton. I was right about that.
Maybe I'll be finally wrong about my thoughts on Glaz here.
Yeah, good on Stokes remembering that off cuff, so shout out to me. Let me see here. Yep, indeed. He's the only one man in Glaz right now on the offensive front, so pretty interesting stuff, and he will stick with it. The other thing, though, is that there's no smoke grenades on the defense past his own smoke, so he's going to be completely self-efficient here. Self-sufficient, rather. We'll have to see what Anaton can accomplish with this. He is 7-5-5 right now, and definitely not a slouch when it comes to this play. I mean, it's obviously got to be doing something if they're constantly bringing it on the offensive side, so much so that it's literally his primary operator on CGG.
I personally haven't seen it from other teams as of yet, but
could make you a believer.
Haven't been watching CAG all that much.
Exactly,
so.
exactly. You haven't seen the Japanese Glaz.
It's time to change my perspective a little bit, you know? So let's take a peek here. Anaton's going to start us off nice and hot as well. Plenty of nades being thrown in, masking the sound, I believe, of that flash and just trying to dump the magazine a little bit here.
I think he's just spamming as though like he would be faking like shooting through the smoke there. So a little interesting as to exactly what Anaton was trying to accomplish there, because nobody really actively trying to play off of that. But I mean, hey, if it's working for them, then it's working for us.
So not a whole lot built up there for CYCLOPS inside of that first minute of play. Just like as Stokes said, scare the members of Astralis more than anything, and it's kind of worked. You can see there's 3 players primed up to give respect over to that break room angle here now. They're just waiting for an actual swing to happen. One of those walls is soft, so I think you're being a little bit careful about a potential swing. Obviously, it would trap those players on the inside. There's no one in break room to be killed here, so for the most part, CYCLOPS are really only going to be setting themselves up for an inescapable duel. Don't think they want to commit to that this early on in the round. They want to let some of their other set pieces get into place first, like Arcully now at the outskirts of the lab, potentially ready to swing up here through arcade stairs over the next few seconds.
Oh, he knows the Solus is down here. Does Iconic take the swing? Wow, what a shot from him. First bullet out of the P90 will decapitate Arcully. Anaton trying to find something here. Won't find anything on the balcony. Another smoke in here, and this means that CYCLOPS has got to be active. This is their last smoke grenade before, well, that happens. Anaton more than likely useless after this goes away anyway, and Astralis running away with it past that. Spiff is going to be the only one down. Shuttle didn't even need a frost trap at that window. He was the trap in and of himself. Suzuki will finally get one for the squad as he'll take down Iconic, but that's all the way on the other portion of the map here. He's working his way in from waiting, and they are very aware of that at the current moment.
Yep, Suzuki once again set up, unfortunately, for probably failure here over the next few seconds, as there's already a cross established against him. As soon as he steps into this hallway, he's going to have a player shooting at him from either side. Not sure if there's a rotate established for the office or anything like that, so I think he's actually just going to sit this one, just do a little impromptu timeout with the 25 seconds remaining, give the IGL a bit of time to talk about things. He'll see if he can sit here and bait for kills, but ultimately the round is going to be over here. It does not look like there's going to be an attempt made, so we'll let the timer run out, and Astralis will tie things up at 4-4.
Well, I guess the real question is, John, is what the hell was the Glaz doing? Because it didn't accomplish literally anything.
I feel really affirmed of my beliefs.
Yeah, I mean, you really should, because, I mean, the smoke play just wasn't that great. Nothing was all that great about the play there from CYCLOPS, so.
Was Iagator trying to bait members of Astralis into the open so his teammate could get kills?
I don't know. I don't know. I think he was telling them at the very last second so they could just try and duel it out.
It's like a gunfight.
Oh my gosh, the amount of times that I have had that kind of stuff happen to me when my like my teammates will just eliminate themselves in the opening minute of the offensive side. I'll get like a kill or two, you know, it's a 1 versus 3. I'm crouch walking through the map, John, and then my teammate's like, he's in gong. I'm like, what the what? Come on, man. I'm trying to clutch you up around here. Well, at least it was more funny, at least coming from Cyclops' side, right? Like, last 2 seconds, that's not really going to have any influence over the game, so...
They're going to bring it back again, it looks like here. Oh, no, never mind. Just as I say it.
Don't speak it into existence. You might lose Cyclops the game here. The Japanese crowd is going to be very angry with you.
Igator ends up swapping the glass away this time. The Nomad's being brought for flank punch, so expect a more traditional push this time from the Cyclops side of things. They do need to go for second floor clear first here as well. Got about 5 seconds left to reconfirm their operators. So Dokkaebi is back. I think that's been working out a little bit better to try to suss out some intel. Hard breach style is going to change too, over from, of course, the Hibana to the Ace instead. Something huge being shifted away here for the team. Still ending up with a fairly normal lineup to try and attack this site. Same very much can be said for Astralis. They've doubled down on trap operators for this round, specifically here by adding the Legion there for Iconic. That's a personal favorite pick of his, if memory serves me correctly as well, so you should feel nice and comfy by going over to that one.
Yes, indeed. We see it adopted in by a decent amount of fraggers now. Is Legion just always a swell pick. You can fit him in really easily. He's got impacts. The traps are fantastic. And his T5 SMG is really, really good as well. Practically no recoil, fun gun to use. And also, if you're used to running Oryx a lot, he runs the same SMG just with a 1.5 instead. So pretty easy to try and translate that over to another operator. Cyclops are going to be on the roof. They've already gotten the hatch open for security here. A logic bomb going out from Anaton, but that doesn't mean that they're immediately going to jump ship. I want to try and figure out exactly what's going on in sight, and that's exactly what that logic bomb was for. I wanted to try and use the audio from it. Try and suss out anybody on this top floor. They won't be able to push much past the initiation space, as Astralis is going to be over inside of Bunk Daycare, but that's unbeknownst to Cyclops at this point.
CIG continue to take more and more map control away, at least in terms of the upstairs clear. No one from Astralis directly contesting against this clear as of yet, but that's soon going to change, of course, as Cyclops only taking the free half of the map, so to speak, so far here. Now that they open up that office wall, or at least make an attempt to, this is where they'll finally meet some direct aggression against the members of Astralis. We'll just have to hope that Cyclops are ready for the fight. Not going to be able to get that breach they would have liked here, so already things are going to get a little bit awkward as they have to look for a cleaner path to rotate into yellow. Shuttle will be able to fend off the first bit of aggression, and Narkelli just goes for it here as well. Inside of the split, Spiff takes him down, and already things go down to a 5v3 as a result of Cyclops' inability to find an opener here.
Well, usually when we talk about this map, we're leaning into the fact of the angle work from the defense and how you can really abuse what is going on, especially throughout the top floor, as we've seen from Astralis. They're going to have Shuttle go down here, a potential for them to get a big round. Spiff is simply going to slink on by. He'll get back down yellow as Anaton steps up to try and take him out. The timing could not be better for the Astralis member. I don't know if they can get Shuttle. Don't exactly know where he's down at. Oh, he's down over on the arcade balcony, so he's going to have some comms for a while, but not before Anaton puts a bullet in him. Down to the 3v3 for the last 30 seconds.
Anaton once again trying to mass some sound play. As he spams out a little bit, trying to see if he can shake up anybody from the Astralis side of things, but not going to end up really happening here. Forrest still waiting in the wings, ready for a challenge to be sent his way on the inside of Cafe. Suzu actually claiming another kill here, so that puts Cyclops on the right foot forward, but do they have the time now to make this play happen? Spiff is standing in the site, ready to fend off the aggression here, ready to fend off the plant attempt, if they can actually work themselves towards it. And oh no, I saw the gold on the UI, just did not get the animation started quickly enough, and as a result of that, CAG just barely drop it on the timer.
Oh, man.
They were literally like less than a second off from getting that onto the ground as well.
I'm in so much pain for them right now. It's not even funny.
That's so unfortunate.
It really is, because they did everything right. You can't even knock them for trying to work that as a team either, you know, trying to get that kill. But unfortunately, the Cyclops member didn't need any help. They got the single panel, and they were able to take out Spiff the dying moments there. If the plant was stuck moments before, Cyclops probably end up winning that round, but instead Astralis on a straight tear right now. 3 rounds in a row, only 2 rounds away from closing this out in regulation.
Like I said, it was so close, you could technically see the UI starting to change for the plant animation there on the player that was doing it for Cyclops. Just You have to keep in mind, it has to be on the ground with the case open for it to count. Otherwise, it's not technically planting as of yet, and the game will not count it. And as a result, you'll still lose on the 0 timer. Keep that in mind for your games at home, too. Just a little tip for you there.
Ain't that the worst? I'm sure there's quite a few people in chat that are like, oh, so that's why that happened last week. It's one of those niche, rare scenarios in Siege where it's kind of like when you've played chess for like a little bit, right? And then you're like, well, this is such an awkward thing. You look it up, and there's like a GM that explains it on YouTube as to why this niche thing happens. It's just always those little weird moments. But yeah, definitely a line that you never really see come to fruition that often in Siege. We have a lot of 0 timer plans, but it usually ends up being that dance on the 7 time, right? For the defense, just trying to move back and forth, keep them busy, and right when that 7 clock hits, like, all right, cool. Now I can run in there and kill the planter. But never really an affair like what we just saw from CYCLOPS. So unfortunate for them yet again here, but they have round 10 to try and right some things. They're not going to change too much about the offensive perspective. They're not going to be bringing in the utility to try and clear out some portions of the map, so we won't have logic bombs or anything like that. But past that, we've got pretty much exactly what the doctor ordered. Double hard breach, Thatcher, Sledge with some nades, and Ash. I mean, what more could you ask for?
CYCLOPS.
Probably around.
Yeah. Certainly the case here as CYCLOPS looking to try and put things into their pocket for the first time on this attacking half. Looking to try and keep themselves in the fight as Astralis has come back with a vengeance now on this defensive side. They'll fend off the pressure more times than not so far here. They'll start themselves out well yet again. Bit of a wild run out here from Forest. I'm going to assume he had intel as to someone being on rappel, but may have just taken a guess for it there. No one from the CYCLOPS side even nearby there. So just gives the CYCLOPS roster a little bit of a scare for a second. Thankfully, they don't have to worry about that too much.
Arcoli and Forest are within like 2 feet of each other. There's just a wall in the way.
Forest might have just heard that shot too. So
Yeah. Well, somebody did. Oh, this is Iconic over here. Forest on the other side. Didn't know if he had switched over here. So this is going to be Iconic right next to us. You have to know somebody's around here, because as you said, he shot that camera.
I don't think Arculi's aware of.
Oh, they're definitely aware now, because he just got shot. So they're aware that he's around Dragon and dead. There it is. All right, Forrest, it's going to take a minute. Almost got the headshot initially, but Arcoli, although unaware, pretty slippery it seems.
Yeah, Arcoli just off on his lonesome too, so obviously 0 room for trades in that situation here. Members of CYCLOPS do have some intel as they're going to go for the jump over here. Like I said, they have some intel onto players down below. They're going to be able to trade out 1-for-1 on that one, but Spiff, ready for the exchange there, at least is able to take down the player throwing the grenade before he himself is eliminated, bringing it into a 4 versus 2 now in the favor of the defense.
This is just all so late from CYCLOPS. They're doing things you'd expect them to be doing at like a minute 30.
It's very like individual oriented right now too, is my big issue with how the way they're kind of trying to execute in here. Like once again, right there, like it's down to a 2vx right now, but not much they can do about it in this specific situation. But like every single kill I saw that round was just a member of CAG off on their lonesome, trying to clear for map control, and they just walk into like 2+ players from Astralis.
Yeah, like what the heck is going on with the Ash play here? Like completely by himself, no one even in the same zip code. The nearest player is like top of yellow.
You're just gambling on gunfights at that point when you play like that is the big issue right now for CAG.
I think the easiest way to put this is that player from CYCLOPS had 3 people influencing his position all at once. There wasn't a single CYCLOPS player that was assisting with any of that at all, just because of where he was in the map. So it's very ill-advised from CYCLOPS, and I feel really bad, John, because it's like they did all of this work on their defensive end just to throw it away.
Yeah, very much the case. Attacking side just not really coming together here for CYCLOPS, not having a good read as to how Astralis likes to play things apparently, or at least thinking that from an individual perspective, they could piece these guys apart one by one, but it seems like they may have had a little bit of an overconfidence in that play. They're reeling back from the consequences of it now here. It's like 6-4 in the favor of Astralis. Like Stokes said, I believe this half started out 4-2 in the favor of CYCLOPS, so really struggled to try and keep things together.
5 seconds left.
And now they're staring down the barrel of map point for Astralis.
Look what Astralis is doing to them as well. You have Iconic back on the Solus with the ability to destroy the drone game, and then you have the Mute Jammers past that, so even if Iconic isn't in the area, they're still thwarting the drones, thwarting the information, and it's already worked out. Look at the drone count for CYCLOPS right now. They lost 4, legitimately 4 drones in the starting phase.
This could explain part of
total right
this
now.
could explain part of the problem too. If this was happening on a consistent basis for the previous round, they may have not had a choice except to just send individual players in to act as like pseudo drones here if they are struggling that much to keep their drone count high enough.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing about casting this game is balancing the plethora of information at your disposal, and it just so happens to be that one as well. It's just up in that tiny little corner there, and you kind of tend to forget about it until you have comps like this. But I know they've had this running for a while. I just haven't been keeping track of the drone count. I'll be 100% honest with you. Just usually look over here at the X's at every portion of the round, see exactly how far we're going. And speaking of drones, we are still on the drone game here from CYCLOPS. Good news about it, though, they haven't lost a drone since those moments. And that's more than likely because they have to play so overly safe with them. You can see J90 now looking for one. Iconic going to go down here. Arcoli looking for the player up top to try and get something done off the back of that drone death. J90, a little bit of damage. He's going to go for the prone angle, but it's still advised. Arcoli take him down, and almost a second one as well.
It's the other side of the coin right now here with Arcoli finding so much success on his individual push into the bathroom there. One player down, another one heavily injured. That is going to cause Astralis to suddenly reel back themselves here, play hyper passively. Meaning that CYCLOPS' strategy from the previous rounds that ultimately led to their loss is going to work out quite well here now as they have that extra map freedom to move forward here to try and abuse lonesome players from Astralis that may not be that well supported in their positions. Arcoli kind of hit a wall here, unfortunately, at the edge of the bathroom. He's really not going to be too smart to try and push beyond this without some team support oriented. So he'll have to wait it out for a few seconds here for the rest of his teammates to group up with him. However, we still can see that all follow through in the next few moments as 2 members on the outside of Arcade and Cafe. They can begin to pressure forward in just a second too as Forrest, he's going to be forced back, or at least he should be forced back from the inside of the Cafe. He's going to try to go for it though. The Nitro out, it will land, but nicely done. The hipfire spray from Blackright does destroy it before the explosion can come through. That'll save his own life, and now he's primed for the duel here as well, but Forrest a little bit more primed for it. He wins it out versus Blackright. Couldn't do it with the Nitro, but he can get it done with the gun. And even Anderton here with the glass being brought back yet again. Can't follow him through quickly enough.
30 seconds. Arcoli, he's going to step up, but he gets gunned down by the right angle. Spiff with a nice move there, and there's no opportunity for CAG to get the refrag. Suzuki's going to hop in. He'll take down Forrest, but a lot of damage coming his way in return as well. Completely doable for both sides. Actually, really, really scary for both of them as well, because look at the timer. Suzuki's going to begin crawling in, trying to mask it with the sniper. They have to know that he's playing close here. It's a pre-fire out. Anakin's going to kill him. Oh, no. Anakin, oh my jeez. CAG is going to kill their teammate, and Spiff is going to clean it up. That's going to be Astralis' very first map off of the back of their valiant effort, not dropping a single round from that 2-4 deficit.
The new pickup as well, leading the charge here is Spiff has one heck of a game. That's continuation from their first match of the tournament against Astralis as well, where we saw an impressive performance from him. Overall, 11-5 on that map, so beautifully played out. Forrest also giving us that greater contribution that I was personally looking for. So Astralis in good shape here. We'll have to see if they can follow through with map number 2 right after this, ladies and gentlemen, so stick with us.
I'm Nicholas Morton, but you know me as Pingu. I'm a 2-time Rainbow Six Siege World Champion and former top Rainbow Six Siege player in Pro League. Welcome to my Siege Ranked Bootcamp. We're talking 20 seconds left on the clock, you got the diffuser in hand, what do? Play the way that you're comfortable with, because you have confidence when you're in this position. That is when you're gonna be at your very best. Good luck.
these two teams on their attack side on Skyscraper thus far.
13 kills for CYCLOPS through 9 rounds, well, 8 rounds of action. The one stat that I always like to bring up is that CYCLOPS has like a lifetime 1 point something KPR, kills per round.
Yeah.
Inconceivable.
Yeah.
Against the best opponents in the world, you are getting a consistent 1 kill every round.
I mean, CYCLOPS is consistently leading all the kills, the KD, the entry stats for pretty much every single event, both domestically and internationally. I mean, going into this, he's #1 in rating, 1.46. DS Lucas, 1.37 behind him. Plus minus, he's plus 36 in that as well. In entry, he is 5th with plus 8. In cost, he's 5th as well. This man is everywhere statistically in the top 5. It's impressive. It really is.
That's been quite a career for CYCLOPS. The only thing that he really needed was a major championship, and they got it in Sweden, in Jönköping, just a couple months ago. Now, I suppose the only thing that's left is a world championship.
Hammer, yep.
A lot of people thought that they'd be favorites coming into this event. There was that stunning first result against CAG, but then it was business as usual against OXG. While we were talking, EFAC was downed. Dots is able to finish him off with a grenade. Down goes the alibi. EFAC can absolutely take over games, but he's been held to a pretty mortal 7-7 so far. Every single Brazilian team that is at this event has the potential to humble even the best of fraggers. Doesn't matter who you are. The fact that you see people like CYCLOPS still excelling, well, that's just a testament to how good he is. Lems has picked up 2 kills since we started counting that Lems tracker, by the way.
Yep. He's slowly finding his footing. We see Dots, both this round and the previous, is sitting on this window rappel, cutting the bomb site, or above the bomb site rather, in half, while Maya does a nice wall bang job of his own, getting Renchi's head.
Not an ideal start for BDS at all. Lost looking to tighten this one up. He'll add a 3rd trophy to the wall. Brede and Lems left to go. No shade to Lems, but you're going to have to start finding kills very quickly. You've only got 2 so far through 8 rounds of action. Not ideal. He waits very patiently. The good thing that Loss has going for them is that they were kind of quick. In comparison to the previous 2 rounds, they were in much faster. And that means that even if there's only 2 people left for BDS, you can take your time in finding them. Lems taking damage from the soft wall of backstairs, picks up kill number 3. He'll inch up, but lose the engagement to Maya. The Jackal walks right in, and Brede's attempt thwarted by Dash.
Much better.
Lost one, keeping this one close. Pick up round number 4.
Much better. If they keep that up, with the pace in the early stage of the round, they will be looking mighty fine these rounds to come. Maya, of course, getting a wall bang in that round helps that tremendously as well. Just kind of speeds things up, getting those free kills, so to speak, uncontested. BDS, they aren't really fighting back much on the roam game either. 2 of the 3 deaths that occurred was essentially BDS running away from a fight rather than into one. So there is a...
Welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen. Getting ourselves ready for map number 2 here between Astralis and CYCLOPS. If you are wanting to continue watching the rest of that game, of course, you can feel free to do so over on the Bravo channel. But we've got to resume our game here on the Alpha stream. Once again, between Astralis and CYCLOPS. Heading into it here, Astralis with the rebound, able to claim things inside of map number 1. Going to be looking to go the full distance here. See if they can repeat that success and lock in a second one for themselves as well to get the easy 2-0 on the day. Here's those replays for those who are wanting to see what went down in map number 1. It was quite scrappy, if I say so myself.
Yes, indeed. I think that's one way to put it, especially initially with the 4-2 split going in favor of CYCLOPS here, and this will be a lot of what you see initially is CYCLOPS giving Astralis the business time and time again. Astralis being able to fight back in a certain light. They got 2 rounds on that side, but once we switch sides, that's when CYCLOPS got quickly dusted. I mean, there was really nothing that they could do up against Astralis in that situation. It seemed like they were indomitable. Every single round coming into their advantage and soon their ownership as well. On top of that, they close it out 7-4.
nicely done in the process of doing that, considering, like Stokes said, it seemed like things were pretty handily under the control of CYCLOPS at the end of the first half, but things very quickly fell apart when they had to go onto the attacking side. Gave us a few very strange rounds where they were just trying to push things on an individual basis before they had properly cleared them out, and as a result, that led to a lot of losses and a lot of round losses along with that one. Here's the stats from the first map. As you can see, from an individual perspective, things, in my opinion, actually pretty close on a team v team basis. It fell more to the strategy, in my opinion, that decided this match ultimately.
I would totally agree with you. You know, I really think that CYCLOPS did have an opportunity there to try and switch some things up on the offensive half, but it just seemed like it really wasn't in the cards for them. Astralis way too ahead of the game, able to apply the pressure really where it hurt on that offensive side, exploiting the individualistic playstyle of CAG when it came down to it. No cagging for this one. Not going to reach the result they exactly wanted. Maybe it'll happen for Bank. We'll have to see. Astralis is going to be starting off on the offensive side for that one, as they got the side choice since it is going to be CYCLOPS' map.
Once again, big props to Spiff, of course, for the performance he's able to bring to the table as the newest member on the team here.
Indeed.
At 11-5, and also Forrest stepping up big where he was a little bit missing from time to time in the most recent match this team played yesterday. So
look at the pen moves. You see that?
Yeah, man.
Whew. Those are some gamer fingers.
Get out of the way, mouse spins.
And my fingers could never. I can't. You know how long I had to work on the mouse spin? It really wasn't that long, but it's probably like
just get like
days.
If you get like a brand new mouse and a brand new mouse pad, that's like the easiest thing in the world to do.
Oh,
the mouse is so slippery.
Yeah, I basically cheat as well because I use the Artisan mouse pad. So mine's a glass bead mouse pad. Yeah. If you want to spend the dumbest $100 you've ever spent in your life, use it on that mouse pad because it is really great. But I don't know why it's $100. Fantastic stuff. But past that, no longer an important factor. You know what is though? That poll result. You guys thinking that CAG's still going to take this? Obviously, that's from earlier today. Maybe they'll be able to bounce back and make that result true. They're going to be the defensive side here, and they're going to ban out Dokkaebi immediately just to make that roam game a little bit more potent.
Waiting for someone to bring like a poker chip, do that thing where like they flip through their fingers.
Oh, yeah.
The buoys and stuff. I don't know why they'd have a poker chip here.
I mean, our teams are from Vegas, so maybe the NA boys like flipping some poker chips. Never know.
Maybe. Bans are in. Osa is going to be the second attacker ban, though, which is going to be an interesting one for me specifically on the defensive side, though. Valkyrie is the first to be knocked out. We've seen her banned out quite a bit, not only today, but just over the past few years here. She is still very universally useful, especially on a map like this with the super high ceilings. You can sneak those cameras pretty much anywhere, and there's a very good chance they won't really be noticed just because the attackers aren't going to be keeping an eye out for that one. And then Cade, yeah.
There's just so many EMPs up. I'm surprised they banned him. But, I mean, hey, so CYCLOPS not wanting to worry about Astralis locking up the hatches might be for their offensive side. They might be worrying that they don't want to run EMPs, and, well, obviously he would thwart that game plan. You'd probably end up just torching hatches open instead then, and that's going to take quite some time. So they'll ban that out. Really like the Osa ban there as well. That one decently self-explanatory. A lot of window play on the top floor. A lot of positions for those Osha shields downstairs as well. You can play them around the server stacks. Once you get the wall open for CCTV, you can also get her inside a garage and set them up around some of the bank fans down there. There's a whole myriad of different locations that she can run those shields. So honestly, I think it's a really, really good spot ban here from Astralis.
Well, let's see how it is going to pan out as we get deeper into the map itself and how that potential will affect the players from CYCLOPS as well. Was showing, by the way, an initial pick over onto a Montaigne for Astralis. Very out of character, in my opinion, for them, though. So we are going to see that switched up ultimately. And it's going to get changed over to a Habana when everything is said and done. They double down on the hard breach here, potentially expecting to have to go for a basement play this time, but surprised a bit by CYCLOPS' initial site choices. They instead end up over an open area for this play. Quite the setup going on over here inside of Meeting Room 2. Arcully is going to be trying to use the Meeting Room setup here to deploy a Mira play and see if he can potentially set up some of the members of Astralis, be baited in there towards Jay, and eventually be taken down.
Well, Astralis is going to set up every facet before they start applying pressure to CAG. They do not want to let one of these players fly out of this window, get a kill, and get away with it. At least be able to trade it out with the Claymore if that does come to fruition. Shadow's going to move his way up the side of the building here and start trying to influence things over on the stock side with this drone. We'll hop up, a couple of players around this space, and overall Astralis' game plan looking like a fairly straightforward affair. Trying to get Habana in place, get the hatches broken open after they clear out this top floor. The clear not going to be as easy as it would routinely be, as they don't really have an info game here, and this is what's going to make it hard. And honestly, it's going to lead to the demise of Astralis here, especially with that Dokkaebi pick, banned out from Cyclops. It makes it to where the logic bomb isn't available to Astralis. They have to lean into the drone game, but they also don't have the Lion to try and keep those players in place if they do discover anything or want to try and go for a quick maneuver, and that's exactly why we see them so severely punished on that top floor.
Spiv beginning the slow roam back down here onto the first floor.
Forest is in.
Can be cleared out, and indeed, Forest has found interior site positioning. Cyclops have no idea about it, as well as Iagator just tries to walk back into the site, take up his old position, and is surprised that someone from Astralis has somehow made it in. Spiv has also repositioned back to the top of square. See if he could potentially catch anyone from the second floor rotate out. J9O very much looking to do the same thing through those hatches, but Cyclops have frozen themselves. I believe they're all upstairs, trying to look for a way to rotate back down into this, and more importantly, waiting for that sound to go off from Forest. The plant noise has gone through, the first attempt being made now. Let's see if they are able to stick it successfully or not, as the rest of the team is not necessarily in the greatest position to support this. Echo Drone goes in, interrupts Forest's plant attempt here, forces him to reposition over towards open area, where it looks like he may make the second attempt instead.
Around we go.
This is so tough for them now, too, because they have no idea where the descent's going to come from.
Yeah. Cyclops, so awkward with their positioning here. 5 people completely off the site. It's going to allow the plant. Anaton is going to go down. If Astralis works this out, I mean, what a miracle here for them. Cyclops just practically leaving the back door open to their house, letting Forest sneak in, and we know how good he is at that.
Cyclops being very hesitant with this retake as well. It seems they had some fury entering the site, even though they had a massive variety of options to take it back with. They don't split themselves up enough. They give Astralis enough breathing room to read into it, and suddenly everything's down to Black Gray. He tries to re-peek through the breach, going into open, and as a result, he'll go down to Astralis. Beautiful recovery there, just ignores the upstairs roam, finds an open hole into the site, and absolutely rips it wide open to get a plant down and around.
I'm just so surprised that Cyclops have that many bodies up and not a single person overwatching what happens on site. Nobody home, not a single person. The smoke came in from E2 hallway. So it's like, okay, we have a decent amount of anchor ops, not a single person home, nobody playing like, small off or something a little bit more safe down there, just trying to keep an eye on things. And Astralis abused it to the fullest extent of the law. Fantastic stuff, especially from Forest. More than likely just a little drone work from him, and he's like, I don't think anybody's in open area. Sure as hell, nobody there.
So a nice steal, you could call it, from Astralis here inside of the first round. Now things will descend into the basement. Now we're going to see that Montaigne come out from Forest, and quite a few different operators as well. Shuttle going onto the Buck for the soft breach necessity. The Zero going to come out for Iconic to probably establish a little bit of flank watch, potentially advanced intel off of those Argus cams as well. And then finally the Lion, played into this one also by J9O. Very execute-heavy setup, in my opinion, for Astralis. I mean, they're probably going to go for the big boom on the inside of Server and try to make the plant from the usual position. We can already see this is looking like I'm a bit right about it, as Forest is droning for that exact path right now here, already trying to make the approach to the basement from the tunnel.
Well, Forest, back to basics for him. This is an NAL special, isn't it? See it all the time for him. Bring the Monty in. See if we can get some solid positioning, maybe block out some utility pieces while a plant goes down. We do have Anaton on the Yokais, but should be easy for them to try and break that up, as the shield will more than likely be able to suss those out. Probably try and affect Forest here as he goes for the plant. Gonna be a smoke out, and that initial one going to deal a little bit of damage. Iconic gonna take some heat, but it's gonna be 2 big kills now for Cyclops. They still have some roamers around. Iconic going to abuse him as well. And is he just gonna drop straight in? Yes, indeed he is. Black Gray will get shot up. Iconic in full control of round 2. Straight running over Cyclops. Shuttle's going to get gunned down from Anaton, but now they know exactly where this player... Forrest! The timing's so masterful there. Waits for that magazine to hit 0 and pops his head off with the pistol.
Forrest nicely done with the clap back there as he takes him down. And once again, seals the deal for our attackers on round number 2 here. 2-0 in their favor. CYCLOPS now reeling from that one, trying to decide where is the best spot to go. They'll rotate again instead of re-attempting one of the previously played sites. Going to be heading upstairs for this one to see if they can finally get their feet on the ground and a point on the board to prevent Astralis from running away with this one. 3-0 at the beginning of the map. More than likely would prompt a very early timeout from the CYCLOPS leadership as well, should that come to pass.
Well, John. This is actually pretty interesting from what we had yesterday for all of the maps. So we'll start with Bank, obviously, because we're here. 54% overall defensive win rate. The two best sites, Lockers, CCTV, Open Area Kitchen at 58% and 56% win rate, respectively. So the defense actually favored when it comes to Bank now, which is not what we were seeing earlier in the tournament. I think it was all the way down in the 30%, 40%. Absolutely abysmal when it comes to that perspective. And funny enough, all of the maps in the entirety of the pool are defensive win rate, except what? What do you think, John? What do you think it is?
Chalet?
No, it's actually not. Chalet is actually defender-sided, and not only that, 63% overall for defensive side. It's actually Border at 43%. That's the only offender-sided map currently in the pool, and I think Chalet is actually one of the highest. It is indeed. I think it's tied for the highest, actually. No, it is indeed the highest defensive win rate map, and it has almost the most plays. It's got the third most plays at 6. So just astounding stuff happening here over the last 3 days.
Yeah, this is usually the time of year, obviously, and the event of the year where we see the kind of map win percentages tend to flip on themselves a little bit, because that's when all the changes throughout the year kind of really come to fruition. The meta's been the most fully developed, and obviously we have kind of the new meta for the year popping up too. We talked about this on day number 1, how teams have such a lengthy break between the last major, potentially the last stage of their regional play if they didn't go to the major, and this one. So they have basically infinite time to come up with new strategies and basically their own new meta if they want to bring one out here at this event.
I think the other key thing past that is usually when you're starting to work on strats really, really heavily, you start from the defensive side as well, because the offenders usually have to deal with what the defense sets up, right? So you're trying to move things around and MacGyver around what the defense is providing you, and that makes it to where maybe some of the stuff that you practice isn't exactly good practice for this event, right? Because they could be doing things completely different than how you were seeing things inside of your scrims. So it means you're be playing different offenders or maybe going for a few different tidbits around the map. Just really depends. Iconic almost with a ringer there. See if the second one is potentially a dinger. Nothing going on. Both of those going to land incorrectly. Now Astralis looking to try and find their opening blood somewhere else. Iconic working his way up. Shuttle's going to go down. I don't know if he's swung in or what have you, but either way, it's reached this result. He's dead, and Astralis are trying to swing in off these smokes.
Forrest will be able to strike true here. Finally picking up the first kill of the round for his team, but CYCLOPS still able to collapse upon this one. Iconic once again making up the difference in a big way. Another kill claimed by him here to keep the numbers even down to a 2v2. So it's like, and Blackray doesn't even know what hit him as Iconic continues to strike. That's 3 if not 4 on the round alone here. Souza the only one remaining deeper into the site. What's important to note though is he does have case control sitting behind him closer to stock. That's the big problem for Astralis to work past right now. I'm not even sure if Souza's fully aware of that. Also moves in, tries to push himself a bit more forward here to take the fight, but just gives it over to Iconic. That should be 4 on the round from him. Beautifully done by the man, the myth, the legend himself there, sitting at the bottom left of the screen.
Oh man, Iconic. Get the crown out of the backpack. I think he's back. A little scary there for CAG. It's Iconic taking full control of these last 2 rounds. Not even hard on the gas either, just set the cruise control. Just blows right past CYCLOPS. Love the way he's breaking down these rounds, the active play. Love the clone there at the last moment as well. You guys might have heard me there for a split second to say it under my breath. Just clone him. Like, fantastic stuff though. Either way, from Astralis is, I mean, they're crossing their T's and dotting their I's, and that's really what you want in a situation like that.
Case. Iconic, Forrest, and Jane I know have been doing literally all the heavy lifting so far. It's actually 0-3, 0-1 for Smith, but I mean, you can't really fault them for it. The rest of their team have just been doing all the work for them. they haven't had to do much as of yet here, so just hasn't worked out. We're only 3 rounds deep as well, so still plenty of time for them to find a place inside of this matchup.
Yeah, J9O's got the beard effect now, too. I mean, it's the beard buff coming through. I didn't even know it was him the first day, legitimately. I was looking at the desk, and I was like, who the hell is that guy? And then finally someone was like, oh yeah, and then J9O right over here. I was like, oh my gosh, it is J9O. I'm just so used to him having the baby face, that's all, you know? So, like the beard though, J9. Really do, man. So keep that going, dude. You look dead sexy, let me tell you. Astralis, though, they're going to be back onto the field and hoping to have a dead sexy round 4. They've already been looking so beautiful throughout the rest of this. CYCLOPS, you can definitely not say the same. They haven't gotten a singular round, John, since the defensive side of Theme Park.
Let's see here now as they are just going to try and finally pick one up for themselves as they go back over into break room here. Immediately pressure is broiling out against their Azami, currently being played by Alligator as it'll reinforce that wall after their Torterra drone opens up a pathway initially. Force, as you can see, is ready to make a play through. Just keep the pressure on at this point. If they realize that Alligator's the only one in there, and that appears to be the case, some support potentially coming in from the small office on the right side here, but indeed the smokes are through. Forrest is in the plant position. If he has a little bit more overwatch, he can probably go for it this early on, but now J9O has claimed one of the opening kills. Split as well, able to take one out against Alligator, eliminates him. Shuttle finding a third pickup as well. It's lights out play right now from Astralis. In fact, flawless play as the defenders can do nothing to stop the execute.
Forrest's comms right there were so strong. He gets that smoke down, gets the ping out on the Azami, but the best piece of that entire play from him, John, is that he did not start the plant until they got a kill. He just MacGyvered around and just lets CAG know that he's around the kitchen area. Hey, run into break, I'm around here, please. And then they all get gunned down trying to stop this Monty, who isn't even planting yet. So well done from Astralis. They know what the reaction is going to be from CAG in a moment like that, and they use it to their fullest advantage.
Well, Astralis, the dominant stance continuing to be shown. What exactly does CYCLOPS bring to the table here to try to counter that back out? I'm surprised, actually, that we don't get the pause, let alone at the beginning of the last round, not even the beginning of this round either. They still feel that they have what it takes to continue forging this one forward. And maybe, just maybe, wanting to save it for around halftime as well to talk about what needs to be adjusted for on that attacking side. Maybe they don't want to use it this early on. Maybe they've kind of resigned themselves to this scoreline on the half, but that's not the type of playstyle, in my opinion, you want to be executing towards. Either way, let's see how they're going to be looking to change up their fate yet again here as we go into round 5. The second basement defense for CYCLOPS here as they continue to rotate, not apt to go for any retries on their sites here, just continuing to move along and continuing to hope for the best on a new site, it seems.
Well, they're batting down the hatches, aren't they? They've got the castle in, they're going to barricade the doors shut, open up the hatches, and now the gates open as well for Astralis as they'll reinsert themselves into Bank. It's looking to be a top floor assault for them, but Forrest has some other ideas. He'll be coming in via dirt. Doesn't have secondary hard breach, but doesn't need it. That's going to be on Shuttle as well as Spiff. Probably going to have Shuttle for the hatches. Have Spiff try and use some of those Selmas for the walls down here. Not going to need it for the soft one, though, as they do have Shuttle with that skeleton key. Looks to be a couple of CAG players around this top floor here as well. Iconic going to get one. He's going to take down Arcoli. See what Alligator can get done here. Oh, easy pickings for him as Iconic just seemingly not aware that there could be another player around this space. Spiff, he gets it done up against Zook. So very well fought. And now down to 2 CAG members, and I believe they both reside inside the site. No, Anaton. Oh, wow, so aggressive in his positioning. Somebody has to come get Spiff. I think that's what Anaton is accounting for here. Forrest is going to move his way around. He cannot get through anything on the archive side, and he honestly might be the safest option to try and make this move. Anaton's actually going to go all the way upstairs, try and go for the late flank here, but do remember, this is a 3 armor off that he's on, so these footsteps are so very loud.
He's going to be able to work his way in, should be able to get the res going as oh no, the hatch play works out. Anaton gets the full rotation off. The players on Astralis did not believe he was going to rotate out from his main stairs position, and now that's left Forrest in a 1v2 clutch. I'm probably the worst operator to potentially clutch something on. 1v2 with the Montaigne. Let's see what exactly Forrest can make happen here. He's going to have to try and make that descent. I mean, to be fair, this is a pretty safe drop at the end of the day as he's on Monty for it.
I think they just gave him the other side, John.
They indeed did, but the hatch work is potentially going to come back to haunt him here in a second. Anaton actually a little scared to go for the full peek, even though he knows it's just going to be a pistol on the other end of it. does not want to directly challenge that one. Forest only just now noticing the default camps. The info drip is now dead, but at the same time, here's what I think they're really waiting for. The Echo Drone, but it is shot out as the place they try to put it on the roof is not going to lock it in there, so he is not able to use the stun charge. Forest, like you said, is given the sight and at least given an attempt to make a plant here. Forest hears that other Echo Drone, though, moving towards him. Quickly gets off said plant. Looks to try and eliminate it here. This is such a micro-heavy round right now for Forest here. He has to try and mitigate so much utility while also keeping a constant watch for the push towards him. Flare as well as Anadin are just playing with him right now by trying to force him out into the open here with that Echo Drone. Finally, the stun goes through. Is he even going to be able to shoot the drone? I think he may have got it just before we switched POVs there, but either way, they're going to throw the Toxic Babe in. That forces him into another corner here. Really not going to have the room to make this happen. A valiant attempt from Forest, right? At least he gives it his full effort, but just not realistic at the end of the day. The timer finally runs out, and CYCLOPS, after 4 consecutive rounds of Astralis, are finally on the board.
A little surprised that he didn't just make him like force the Echo's hand like initially with the burst plant. Just force it. Just plant it onto the ground and keep holding it until he makes you stop, then shoot the last yokai drone. That really would have been the play there for Forest, but instead he tries to get off of it every time the yokai comes into the room, and well, you saw how that one worked out. It just constantly gets back behind the deployable shield and he can't do anything about it because he can't get to the angle fast enough. He's too slow as Monty. So unfortunate circumstances befalling Forest there, but I mean still an opportunity at the end of the round to get something going for them. So still a lot of positivity to be had there from Astralis for the round, but definitely a saving grace from CYCLOPS as they played that out quite swimmingly.
CYCLOPS indeed, now finally on the board. Let's see if they can keep that momentum rolling to get at least a second round here, keep their hopes alive as far as the series is concerned. Being able to pick up a 2-4 scoreline. 5-1, it's going to be a little bit difficult, in my opinion, to work in the second half, but we'll have to wait and see. It's also important to consider, too, that CYCLOPS, again, has not had the best of luck on their attacking rounds due to the playstyle with which they tried to execute, at least over on Theme Park. Astralis had no problem tearing that apart on a round-by-round basis due to the individualistic nature with which CYCLOPS tried to proceed, especially inside of the early rounds. We'll hope they try to change that up a little bit here for Bank, especially when you consider that it's, in my opinion, a much bigger map to potentially try to do those types of clears on as well.
Coley slap some things together on the top floor. Astralis will be starting things off over in the lobby side, at least for J9O's sake. Seems like the rest of the lobby around this spot as well. Iconic's moving away from the Yana onto the Ash with the G36C for this one. J9O will be working on the elevator hallways. He's got the top floor broken open with one of his Somas. Ends up spamming the bottom lone office wall as well to open up some lines of sight into E2 here. So probably just stick around this entry point, whereas Forest, he's going to be the one actually forcing his will onto the top floor, trying to get some of these CYCLOPS players to move around and potentially get picked off. Oh, what a shot from Spiff. He'll make quick work of Arcoli. I think there's only a single player up top inside of the elevator. Astralis has not droned this out yet. They don't have a logic bomb, so it's going to require a little knowledge, and Forest has plenty of it.
Forest continuing to maintain that top main stairs position. Suzu as well, popping it open. Unfortunately, it's a pop at the breaching charge too. Tries to go for the pump, but actually gets it on the second shot there. Forest not able to best him. Suzu still incredibly low though. Tries to go for the drone, and that'll lead him into his death position here as J9O ready for the refrag as soon as that drone goes down. Gets the confirmation, but now J9O to an extent baited into the open. Oh no! Just jukes around it though. Baits him in, hook, line, and sinker, so Iconic instead can knock him out on the hatch drop.
J9O really said, hey, Macarena. Just danced around that.
That was the actual like QE spam dance right there. I haven't seen that in pro play in a while.
Bolo, is that you? Nah, TSM's gone. Womp womp.
Unfortunate.
Big sad. Really sad, honestly. I'm a huge fan of TSM. Always love their color scheme, but it is what it is. So, sad news for us over in NA, but hopefully we'll see something happen with that roster down the line. Astralis, though, they're definitely happy with their roster choice, aren't they? Spiff coming in. He's looked fantastic this tournament. His first big tournament as well, as they picked him up from, I believe, Aerial Academy, wasn't it?
I'm not entirely sure.
I'll double check that one real quick, but
good one to check for us there. But either way, Spiff bringing an impressive performance to the table either way. Certainly worth his weight at the moment here with how he's been performing against CAG and had a similar performance in the matchup versus OXG, even though ultimately that led to a loss. Yeah, but it was a 2-1 loss. And with the full distance on at least 2 of those maps, if I recall correctly. And Spiff was oftentimes towards the top of the contribution, at least in fragging as well. Yep.
My Liquipedia brain is on point today.
Nice.
So good. So good. Yes, it was Aerial Rise Academy.
You're telling me you've properly prepared for your job?
Maybe. Just this once.
Crazy.
Hey, it's video games. It's not a job, it's a lifestyle. And it happens to be my really nerdy lifestyle.
More ways than one.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. let's not talk about my recent purchases of way too many expensive Magic the Gathering cards, okay? Anyways, our Cully and the rest of the gang for Cyclops trying to get something going on this offensive side, John. It looks like the shoe is on the other foot from the last game. But that would also mean that Cyclops could do something on this offensive side, which I would really love to see. Love to see this potentially go to an overtime here if they can muster it. What are we doing here, Black Ray? I'm sorry, I can't be nice about that one.
Yeah,
Just
like,
what are we doing? Just what are we doing?
There was
anything, John. Where's anything?
There's not even a drone in
yes.
Is there?
Yep. Again, questions. Where? Why?
See, this
How?
is that same criticism I had back in the last map too. Like I was gonna hold my breath for a few rounds here, but it's so obvious, at least for me, right on the outset of round number 7.
And you have shuttle coordinating this entire thing.
Yeah.
Like, good luck, man. Like, Arcoli, yeah, you might be silent, but Pulse is probably going to find you here in a split second. Unless Iconic just walks into your sight line. Dude, this timing is so disgusting right now between these two. They have no idea that each other are so very close. He could just get shot in the back right now by Iconic. Oh my goodness, man. This is giving me so much stress. Nitro sellout.
Kelly going for a blind hunt right now. Hoping he can come out on top of it.
Oh, he saw it. Oh,
I don't think he noticed. No, he didn't notice.
Oh my God.
Iconic in the meanwhile. That's so awkward.
Edison, what? Edison, you do not want any of that, man. You don't want it.
Just sit and stare, Edison. Just sit and stare.
Oh my God.
Do the safety dance.
Oh man, put the shield up. Hide. Padded room, Cyclops, padded room. Iconic. Oh, he's getting away with too much, John. It's down to Suzuki. He's hiding on the top floor. Oh my gosh, man. Find an attic. Like, they have an attic in Bank? Is there someplace I can just cry? Oh my, Iconic will finally get shut down. Somebody had to do something. I mean, my God. These rounds for Iconic, 13-3, a 10+ KD spread on this game. Oh my goodness gracious.
Being real about it, once again, as Stoke has already led us to believe here, not really a whole lot that Souza can do at this point. He's
I can't lie to these
blind as a bat when it comes just to information right now. It's just a wild guess when he takes a swing if someone's going to be waiting for him but not.
The hatches aren't even open, guys.
He doesn't even have time to open them. It's going to take 10 seconds just to get one of them open.
Oh, man.
Barbed wire still in the way. I mean, yeah, it's rough right now for Cyclops on their attack here. The lack of a tactical timeout during the first half.
Look at this
and the rebound. Astralis just has a nest of bullets waiting for the last member of Cyclops at the bottom of the main stairs. They're shutting it down. Finally, we get that pause from Cyclops, but I personally think this is too little too late.
You don't say. I'm just saying, it's the 6th round. They've gotten 6 rounds. Where was this timeout? I don't know, like 3 rounds ago.
It's like they just got a nice little confidence boost when they won round 5, and it's never really like recentered on the actual reality of the situation. It's
true. And that's what you got to think about, right? It's not the fact that you won that round. It's the fact that Astralis is looking unstoppable, and you have to slow them down. That tag timeout definitely helps with that. Little icing the kicker moment. So we'll cut in here and see exactly what everybody's talking about.
Do you want me to just play Dave? Yeah. Play with Dave.
Looks like Astralis talking about a little coordination for some of their players. So I heard about somebody playing with David. In case you're wondering who David is, that's Iconic. Fun fact there for you. Played with Iconic for way, way too long. His name actually used to be Zeusis when he was like...
Wait, all these names are their real names?
Did I break the immersion for you of esports?
Seriously?
Yeah, really.
I had no idea.
Are you going to cry?
It's crazy.
Need to locate and defuse
Huh?
Thought everybody was went by their alias. My name's Blue.
my name is literally the color blue.
You guys want to see my ID? I like legally changed it like 2 years ago. Like,
if you whipped out a birth certificate on desk right now that said Blue John Blue Mullen or something like that, I don't even. How would you even work that out? Be absolutely ridiculous. So
I think I lost my birth certificate like a month or 2 ago. So that's, I gotta get that sorted.
Indeed. So jumping back in here though, but as said previously, looks like Astralis is trying to create some coordination here for this open area space. But now I'm really attentive to what Iconic is going to be doing, because apparently somebody's supposed to be playing with him. So are we doing something fancy? Are we doing something fun? What's happening here?
So much utility from Astralis as well, just against this single wall, going back over into lower square too. You've got obviously all the batteries crowding the wall, but then two ADSs supporting it also. Iconic just trying to prep these windows for some shenanigans if his team calls out the intel that it could properly work here. Forrest has been spotted on the upstairs square windows here by a drone, so he's not going to be attempting anything. It'll be far too obvious if he tries to go for it, but still could potentially get something out of Iconics. We'll wait and see there.
It really looks as though CYCLOPS want to go for something very similar to what we saw out of Astralis, minus the Monty. They just want to try and use, Anaton for this position instead with the smokes. They do have the smokes from Suzuki as well on the Capital bolt, so that could be pretty useful for trying to get those deeper into sight because they only have the ADSs to try and get around, so the smoke nades might get eaten up. Hopefully they try and clear that out, but the issue is that they really don't have any throwable utility that isn't extremely expensive. We've got frag grenades in for Arcully. I highly doubt he's going to be the one burning any utility to try and get those smokes to go through, so we might have another means of production here for CYCLOPS, another smoke out to try and block off some of these angles, and Anaton is going to go hunting. Oh, the smokes are going to battle it back.
The problem is, yeah, the Toxic Babe's holding him back a little bit further, but finally gets the angle going here. The glass gun finally strikes true. It's a very rare occasion for me, at least. Arcully able to work his way back in here as well, taking further map control. Making this round a heck of a lot more workable suddenly for the CYCLOPS roster. Anaton will be the one putting the case down on the ground. Forrest does not want to attempt the retake just as of yet. He might have a slight angle onto the planter, but does not have the right read as to where the planter is positioned. I think he hears that drone positioned out behind him here as well. Tries to rotate his way back in to maintain it, but no. Highgator instead is going to be striking first here, knocking out Forrest, leaving only Spiff inside of the clutch for the 1v3.
Very low HP for Spiff. Angle's way too harsh for him as well. I highly doubt that he gets maybe over a kill here. Potential to get Anaton, but yeah, with this position here for Arcully, that's just going to be so hard fought. Practically have to have eyes on the side of his head in order to accomplish that. Finally, CYCLOPS will get their second round, but such a long road ahead of them on this offensive half.
Either way, a nice little boost here. Things were looking very drastic for them, especially with the way things started out back in round number 7, so it's a good thing they hit the ground running on this one. Obviously going to be a long road to recovery, so need to keep the spirits up along the way, and having a definitive round like that where Astralis is basically boxed out and left with no options to realistically retake there, certainly going to make them feel good about themselves here. Have to see if they can keep that going though, because like I said, it needs to be 4 more of those, and that only guarantees overtime. Still the chance that Astralis bounces back even if we get to that point and wins it anyway with 8 rounds.
Well, Astralis seemingly sick of it. They're going to go to the least played site on Bank, which is Archives and Tellers. One that is pretty unique in its makeup. For a very, very long time, we saw everybody trying to flirt with the Tellers walls here, back and forth with impact tricking and everything else in between. But now a lot of teams starting to open things up and start to take gunfights more. And this has just kind of been a trend of Rainbow Six as well, is that teams are less apt to give you any control of the map at all. They'd much rather just have an angle open and make it to where they can influence someplace like, say, the lobby with the angle that they have open for the Tellers wall, and make it to where it's a little bit difficult for the offense to try and work their way in safely. They always have to worry about the influence coming from a position in sight.
We've got CYCLOPS out on the board yet again. Obviously the interesting pick with the Amaru coming into the fold here, and Anaton also having the Candelas braces me for what could be some very explosive play later on in this round. Basement clear coming in as well from Arcully as he works his way through with the drone game.
There's no way they're going to go for what we saw yesterday, right?
Oh no, there's the problem though. Iconic prepared for this, had himself his own little roam going downstairs in the basement. They thought it was clear. The drone did not go deep enough. And as a result of that, Iconic gets away with one. I don't even think he's here anymore. Pretty sure he rotated back up through main stairs now. So yeah, they can continue the plan as usual. Blackray can potentially get ready to hop up through a hatch.
I don't think it's worth it though.
Yeah, already down a player. It would need to be like pre-drone to a pretty large extent to ensure that he's going to be He's going to be in a safe position when he goes for that hop-up, so more than likely not going to see it happen, and Black Road just has to play this round out normally.
You got to feel for CAG here, because that was the entire strategy. That's what it was. They wanted to try and surprise.
He's still going to try it, it looks like.
Move. But the thing is this is entirely reinforced, so what's this play necessarily do for them?
There's the Candelas to support it.
Yeah, it's the other site, guys. And it's reinforced. Okay. Oh no, CAG. Well, looks like they have discovered that it isn't exactly what they thought it was. They do have Gator, but John, they don't have any top floor controllers halfway through this round. They're trying to work their way up square.
They just called for a fallback. They're like, we got to go back inside. This is not workable.
Yeah.
And they lost someone else along the way, man. It is rough right now for CYCLOPS here. Even I'm feeling for him at this point. Down to 2 minutes into the round as well, so they don't really have a whole lot of time to completely evacuate the building and essentially reset their push here. Gator at least gives some hope over the team here, finding one pick from up on top. I believe that was a skylight kill against J9O. Catches him rotating by main stairs. Anderton also having position by said stairs. Could potentially catch a member of Astralis rotating in just a second, as we do have Iconic in the area.
Iconic's going to play inside of the E2 elevator, which is going to be practically impossible for them to dislodge. They don't have any frag grenades. They do have a concussion, but I don't know if that was sent his way. Suzuki might have got the info there necessary to know that Iconic was in the hallway. Nice little upside down rappel here from Gator. And this one, not a very common angle either. Are going to slip on past a few of these people and end up right in the middle of lobby. Suzuki dealing some damage back upstairs towards Forest. Gator looking for something in sight, but he doesn't have the means in order to get through this unless he wants to skeleton key his way directly into sight, which would be the loudest thing that he could potentially muster. Rotates around to the other side. Iconic picks up one, and I think this is going to be it here for CYCLOPS, ladies and gentlemen. Apologies to our Japanese fans as Astralis and North America quickly make their presence known in this one. It was a fantastic defensive side from CYCLOPS, but that's where it stopped. The play dead in its tracks for CYCLOPS from that moment on, and it was Astralis to the stars for this one.
Big win from Astralis at the end of the day here, getting that clean 2-0 victory. Had seen them sitting a little bit lower in their group. Obviously only one game played so far and a 2-1 loss at that, so this will give them a very, very nice boost to put them in a much better position still to be trying to make it out of this group and into the playoff stage, one step closer to the hammer. As for CAG, much like our first game earlier on today, it's going to be potentially a long night in the practice room for CAG, as a lot of things went wrong over the course of this series. Need to really try to tighten things up for their game tomorrow if they're going to hope to stay in this tournament.
Absolutely. CAG, a team that has an absurd amount of gun skill, but yet Iconic still able to get 16 kills in that last game. I mean, a hallmark game for him, honestly. He's had a couple of them throughout his career, but I can definitely say that best of 3 is one that we're going to go back to and be like, yeah, Iconic was in full control of this the entire time.
Very much the case, and why wouldn't they be as well, considering the mistakes that were being made, especially on the attacking side of CAG. Constant individual players just trying to make their own moves, oftentimes like without drones helping them as well, just blindly swinging in the second floor repels as we saw in one round. So just some very odd things going on for CAG that very obviously did not work out at the end of the day. But like I said, they're going to go back to the practice room, hopefully recenter themselves, and hopefully we will see a better version of CAG in tomorrow or potentially the next day's matchup. That'll do it for us for right now, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go to a break. When we come back, we'll have your desk ready to break this one down.
I'm Nicholas Martin, but you know me as Pingu. I'm a 2-time Rainbow Six Siege World Champion and former top Rainbow Six Siege player in Pro League. Welcome to my Siege Ranked Bootcamp. We're talking 20 seconds left on the clock, you got the diffuser in hand, what do? Play the way that you're comfortable with, because you have confidence when you're in this position. That is when you're gonna be at your very best. Good luck.
Well, CYCLOPS doing CYCLOPS things, just getting stomped by Astralis. Yeah, that face is perfect, Jesse. We should have just zoomed in on your face there. That really sums it up. Should we all do the CYCLOPS loss face?
That CAG got cagged face.
Oh.
Did they get cagged? By the definition that we just established earlier, did they get cagged?
There was a lot of Monty being run by Astralis.
That's true.
Maybe not.
So CAG were not cagging, though. We can
No, CAG were definitely not
CAG
cagging.
did not do anything that would justify them failing upward here, no.
Yeah.
I'm kind of sad. That was a little difficult to watch, to be completely frank. But you know what? Let's dive in and talk about map 1. And that was Astralis' map pick, and they took it 7-4. CAG not awful there.
It was a good start, right? I mean, it's theme park defenses. You kind of expect to be able to win these, but they did get their first 4 in a row. Bank's being shown up here for your stats too, so we'll touch on it as well. Bank was the one that they really couldn't get anything going on for their defenses, unlike theme park. And I think this was a really important map because it showed that Astralis can win that 2-0. They can win their opponent's map pick, even though they're kind of restricted in the map ban phase, right? Jacob, we kind of talked about this, where earlier on they kind of struggled in what maps they have to ban, because it's very predictable because they have 2 permabans. But didn't seem to matter this time around.
It didn't, and I think even if we had a map like that had so many different options and variables for like a place that you could have gone to, the operator options on the table in the first place were things that Astralis themselves read into and then used if for some reason they had an option for a shield available. This is exactly what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Astralis on a 2-4.5 on a theme park attack isn't bad, and we've said as much because this is already a very defender-sided map. If you're able to get any rounds on a theme park attack, that's usually constitutes a miracle. And then CAG get on attack and they try some things. They do try the glass for a few rounds. They have a Dokkaebi, they have an Amaru. They did what we said they were going to try, realize 2 rounds in it's not working, then try more traditional operators to do more traditional takes, and there's always a flank. There's always somebody hiding in a corner because there's so many things on theme park you have to worry about clearing. So the battleground itself played out very differently to the way that it was played just last night when CAG played it against Los 1. Astralis were dialed in way more here.
Yeah, I mean, even in the later rounds, they still had Anaton on Glass. They were still trying to force some of these operators right, and it just was not working. When they did have them, they did maybe go a little bit more neutral, but like that last round, Anaton on Glass not really accomplishing anything there. It felt like their pushes were really disconnected, really solo, struggling to really get any of those trade backs, even when they did lose the opening pick. Tough game for CYCLOPS.
It got so bad that on the very last round, Anaton picked Glaz and TK'd on the execute.
Yeah, I mean, we are coming down pretty hard on CYCLOPS right now. Let's talk about Astralis a little bit more, Jacob. I mean, on their map, they did quite well, I would say.
No, they did, but that was mostly because Astralis didn't have to do nearly as much to dismantle what was already a really bad CAG defensive attempt.
Yeah.
You can start with round 1. It's an open area defense. They have the entirety of quad wall opened up with sight lines, and there's nobody on CAG really in position on site to defend it because they've opted to open the entire thing up. Astralis noticed this, get forced into sight really quickly, and keep in mind, this is a 4v3. CAG have already killed 2 people. They walk into sight. Astralis has a full 40 seconds. Nobody on CAG decides they want to come right back in. Not only does Forrest realize there's nobody on site, everyone else corrals back to site. They find the exact spot they want to use to plant, and then kill everybody when they attempt. I don't think that kind of thing even constitutes a retake. Like, they have flank attempts, and they're decent, but they never reach a point where they are at all usable against an Astralis team that clearly found their bank mojo again.
I want to bring up the map 2 summary. We flashed it up for a little bit, but I do really want us to hone in there because, you know, we're in the green room. I'm like, okay, CYCLOPS, they're going to reorganize, they're going to recalibrate. This is their map pick, sending them good vibes. What happened? What happened here?
I think it was a couple of things. First of all, I think Astralis deserve a lot of credit for identifying the holes in the defenses of CYCLOPS, right? They did a great job, as Jacob was describing, for sneaking into the site for us on that very first round. A couple of times just right after that, they hit the server very quickly. They were doing a really good job of identifying where those holes were and executing against them. I think that was great from Astralis. The other thing was I think CAG maybe were a little bit discouraged after losing so many rounds in a row on theme park. They lost 5 attacks in a row, came back into bank, and then lost 4 defenses in a row. Jacob, I know you kind of went back between the 2 maps, right, and saw some of the CAG guys. It didn't look great.
No, it didn't. Like, back in the player area, everyone on Astralis after theme park was more jovial. They were all joking around, and everybody on CAG were separated. They weren't really talking to one another. And then that we went right back into map 2, and the exact same thing persisted because that was a 5-1 half. Like, honestly, you could have gone to your local gas station, grabbed a pack of cigarettes from behind the counter, smoked all of them at the same time, and that would have been healthier than watching CAG attempt to defend.
Oh my goodness. That comparison. Only Jacob. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say about that. So obviously Spirit's down with CYCLOPS. What's going through their heads right now? I mean, you come to SI, you beat BDS, and then 2 losses. I mean, how are they? I'm sure, like, they're down. They're down. So are they going to be able to turn it around?
I would hope so, but I mean, history repeats itself, right, Jackie? And as I mentioned, back in the Charlotte Major.
Oh my God, it's going to happen, isn't it?
Back in the Charlotte Major.
Deja vu.
First game, big upset. I think that was over M80 at the time. And they win the game, and it's great. And then they lose back-to-back games out in dead last in their group. And that, I don't believe dead last is still a possibility. It might be. We'll see how the tournament kind of runs out, but it's still not going to be a fantastic showing for them inside the group, unfortunately, with these 2 losses. Now they've still got 1 more game to play, right? And we'll see where they end up finishing, but certainly I think this is not the follow-up they wanted from that BDS win.
History kind of repeating itself there, but all right, let's get to our MVP, and it's
the king.
Iconic.
Yes.
It's
the king.
Oh, okay. So Iconic really leading the charge, though, Jacob, for sure.
Yeah, but this is also like fodder for a lion, if anything. This is sheep.
Y'all ain't going easy on Cyclops
no.
now. Okay.
This isn't even like sheep being put into a pasture for somebody to hunt. This is sheep being put into a cage and they're just letting a bull go right into the cage and knock it off a cliff. This is exactly what Iconic has been doing as advertised against opponents at a much higher caliber than this. He's been doing this against guys like Dark Zero. He's been doing it against NAL teams that have gone to world championships before, and it comes down to a game against a CAG squad that simply isn't capable of defending against him. Credit where credit is due. Yeah. Everybody on Astralis was playing fantastic, and Spiff continues to add on to what so far has been a pretty damn impressive debut after just 2 best-of-3s. But yeah, Iconic totally deserves this, just given the stat line.
Yeah, I loved his entry stat there as well. I believe it was 6-2 throughout the entirety of the series. Very well done by Iconic, getting those opening picks. A lot of that was coming in on bank, especially that second map where they were able to kind of take advantage of, again, Cyclops maybe being a little bit down. Thought he played fantastically there. He's always been an aggressive entry player and, of course, massive player for his team.
Okay, well, we still got a lot of Siege ahead of us, so all of you watching at home, do not go anywhere. We're going to show you Stream B for BDS versus Lost One.